Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Stacy Owens, and I am here on behalf of the Dallas ISD Counseling Services awesome team. And we are so glad that you are here to enjoy the Sense of Belonging and Safe Schools initiative training that we have for you. And it is our hope that you are nice, warm, and cozy, and that you are enjoying this fall day. Perhaps you have a mug of coffee with your favorite creamer, maybe pumpkin spice, maybe some hot chocolate, but we are just glad that you are leaning into this training today. So I'm going to go through a few of our norms. Please, of course, lean in and then make sure that you have turned off your other devices so that you can not only lean in, but that you can tune in. We really want to make sure that you are getting what it is we are delivering you today. To you today, please write any questions or comments that you may have, so that if there's something that piques your interest or curiosity, we can give you an answer. And then I want you to also make sure that you are readying the Sense of Belonging and Safe Schools Initiative form. This is how we're going to document that you are participating and you have participated in this training. So, of course, your ID number, your email address, your first and last name, who your campus and your campus coordinator, your campus and your coordinators are going to be listed by region. So we want you to choose that, the grade level that you're responsible for, the name of your campus. And then if it's not listed, please make sure that you specify your campus here. And then you will also find on this form access to the ACEs quiz linked right here. And then here are some reflection questions that you will be using either throughout the training or at the end. But I really would pause the screen and answer these questions so you can have time to reflect on your learning as we go through it today. So there are more than a few questions on here, but they are really going to help you with your learning today. So today's focus is going to be, what is the ideal safe school and what does it look like? We're also going to cover ACEs and mitigating their effects. And then if you don't know what ACEs are, hold on to your seats because we're going to explain it all in depth today, but hopefully you've heard of that before. The next thing we will cover today are the school counselor's role in the Sense of Belonging and Safe Schools initiative, and then a review of the comprehensive counseling program. All right, everybody, take a few moments to read the screen for me, please. Okay, we must make sure that every child and every educator feels safe in our schools. Would you agree with this or would you disagree with this? Hopefully, you agree with this because our Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona, believes this, and I do believe that it's true. It sounds like a very tall order, but with a comprehensive counseling program, you all, this is definitely achievable. And those of you here in our district know that the comprehensive school counseling program is one of the questions we were asked perhaps when we were interviewed for our position. So we know what that is, but it does not hurt to go back over it. And so we will do that today. But again, in order to have a school that feels safe and has all the components that a child can be successful in, having a comprehensive counseling program is going to help us achieve that for our students. Think about school events today. How safe do you feel at work every day? Just want you to think about that. How safe do you feel when you walk through your doors? Do you feel like, okay, yeah, this is a safe place? I can go in my office and trust that everything's okay. Of course, there's some outside factors and thoughts that we may have in our minds that we think about, like Uvalde, Columbine, other things that have happened in even more recent than Uvalde. But how safe do you feel at work every day? Not only just safe as in who comes into school, who could harm someone, but how safe do you feel? Like, do you feel safe to go talk to your administrators? Do you go safe to talk to a trusted personnel, the trusted personnel in the front office every day? Is there a person that you feel safe in sharing your feelings with on your campus? That's another form of feeling safe. Um, Next bullet, did any of the tragic or traumatic events affect your felt sense of safety? And if so, in what ways? Think about that. A lot of the time we have to be introspective so we can kind of know, is there a way that I can maybe remedy why I'm feeling unsafe. Um, these are my feelings. How can I remedy this? So go ahead and think about that. Then, as a result of those events that have happened, or it could, did you change anything in your routine or that of your family? And so that would be like a traumatic event that happened at the school, maybe somebody coming into the school and doing something from the outside into the school. How did you change your routine or that of your family? What did you do? All right. You to take a few moments now to think about what the ideal safe school looks like. What does it look like? I'm going to put a phrase on the screen. I want you to think about it. Take a few moments to decide what role you feel a school counselor plays in the initiative. Okay. If you're thinking about an ideal safe school and what it looks like, how do you fit in as a counselor? What is your role in making that safe school happen? We really have a lot of remarkable incidents that have taken place across America. And the concept of safe, quote unquote, safe school has many different connotations. But let's talk about the concepts of what we think the ideal safe school looks like. So hopefully you all, if you're doing this training by yourself, you don't have anybody to reflect ideas off of, but it'd be great if you had someone to kind of do this with, maybe in a Zoom together, so you all can discuss. But if you're by yourself, I just want you to listen to these ideas. Pretend like I'm your accountability partner and we're doing this together. So to me, a safe school looks like students who are happy, the doors are open, parents are coming and going, there are no worries and no cares in the world. But we know that this isn't what schools look like today, right? Um, with all of our ideas and ideals in regard to safe schools, we are here to discuss the school counselor and their role in making the school safer, because our schools can be more safe when we all work together. We know that creating and running a comprehensive school counseling program will definitely support in having a safe school. When we as counselors can run small groups and individual counseling can get done, we can teach guidance lessons based on campus needs. We can certainly support and lead in the initiative to have a safe school, right? When we can do all those things, when we're allowed to do all those things, we definitely can have a safer school. It might not be the same, Fort Knox, but we can definitely have a safer school. But before we discuss the components of a balanced and comprehensive counseling program, because I keep repeating that over and over, we're going to look at a few other things. Let's consider what may cause some of our children not to feel safe in the first place. When some kids come to us, uh, they already are struggling due to outside forces that we don't have anything to do with, right? Um, there is Dr. Karen Purvis, who has since passed away, but she left a legacy. And she worked at Texas Christian University. And she describes children that come to us with all of these traumatic events that they've already gone through as children from hard places. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that phrase before, but that was her name for these children who've been through these traumatic events. And Dr. Purvis was the director at Reese Jones. She's the co-founder of the Karen Purvis Institute of Child Development at Texas Christian University in Fort Worth, Texas. And she is the co-creator of the Trust-Based Relational Intervention, which is also known as TBRI. And some of you have heard of that, hopefully now all of us will have heard of it. And she uses this term to describe the children that she loved and served, and those who have suffered trauma, abuse, neglect, or other adverse conditions early in life. And so her research based philosophy for healing harmed children centered on earning their trust and building a deep emotional connection to anchor and empower them. And so isn't that what we're supposed to strive to do as counselors every day anyway? So we get to know these kids when they come through our doors. We talk to them, hey, I see you with the new shoes, or I see you with that hair. And they may not look like the best or dress like the best, but we really want to we strive every day as counselors to make those heart connections, because we're the heart of the school. So we make those heart connections with our students so that we can be effective counselors. And once we get that trust going, then we can start utilizing some of our or what's in our tool kit as far as small group, one-on-one guidance lessons, and that child feels safe to come and talk with us at our schools. So Dr. Purvis had this to say about the actions of our children from hard places. She said, what appears to be inexplicable behaviors are often survival and coping strategies. They act this way simply because they don't know any other way. And let's just sit right there. Let's just think about that. What appears to be inexplicable behaviors are often survival and coping strategies. Let's think about some of the kids who we've had to go to the classrooms to stop them from throwing chairs or knocking over desks or kicking holes in walls, and we've had to barricade them, with a table or with ourselves to keep them from harming other children because they're in a fit of rage or they've totally just broken down. They're not talking. They're not doing anything. They're just sitting there, almost catatonic because of something that's triggered them. And so Dr. Purvis's way of looking at those kids is saying they're acting this way because they don't know any other way. And so her research showed these coping mechanisms manifested in a variety of different ways as anxiety, lack of trust, intense fears, selective mutism, aggressive outbursts, and avoidant behaviors are to name a few. She found that severe trauma affects brain growth on a physical level. And you all, we know about that. We've had many trainings on the effects of trauma on brain growth. Okay. So we can definitely say amen to that. This is leading children who have been abused or neglected to suffer in their development of cognitive processing and emotional regulation. When so much trauma has happened and so many things have happened to our kids, some of the time they're always on defense. And so you're wondering, well, why in the world can I not, this child doesn't trust me right away when I come say, hey, do you want to talk to me? No, I don't want to talk to you. Or they don't say anything. They just look at you because they've been through trauma and they don't know how to regulate their emotions. And so the trauma has stunted their growth, so their ability to even process. It's not even that they don't want to. It's like my brain has been cognitively stunted. I'm not able to even process what you're telling me because I don't have the tools to do that. Higher level of brain growth is stunted, leaving some children at as little as half their age in cognitive functions. Lower level brain functions, which control instinctive flight or fight responses, overdevelop as a response to trauma. Pay attention to that last sentence. Lower level brain functions, which control instinctive flight or fight responses, overdevelop as a response to trauma. That's a lower level brain function. Okay. So I just want you to think about that, ruminate on that, as they say, for a moment. Okay. We're going to look at a study on my next slide concerning children from hard places. Oh, one last point I want to make sure. As counselors, we understand that these behaviors, we understand the behaviors that Dr. Purvis is talking about when I was reading the slide to you. And we know that we can train our faculty and staff on how to support students from hard places or those who have experienced ACEs we can tell them on a daily basis, right? And we can give them training so that they know what to do instead of escalating the student to de-escalate the student, all right? When we do those types of things as counselors, when we have those parent workshops, when we have those staff, we present in staff meetings for 15 minutes. Maybe it could be the strategy of the week. We see a trend on the campus of kids running out of the class. So we go and we find out, we reach out to our our coordinator in counseling services, or we research and find ways, or we utilize some of the books that we've been given by counseling services or that we've gotten at counseling meetings. And we do a staff training on how to address these kids with these types of issues or whatever the trend is on our campus. We do a little meeting. So we do these kinds of things because all of those things, when we're training our staff and we're training our parents, and we're even training our students in individual counseling and small group. All of this leads to having a safer school environment. And hopefully we can just say a safe school environment, right? And we work to get to that safe school environment. But as we're working and building, we're creating a more and more safe school environment. So now let's go ahead and look at our case study. This child is a child from a hard place. Looking at children from a hard place, when we're looking at them, we need to remind ourselves of what our students come to us with, what they deal with at home before they even get to us at school. And I don't know if you all remember the If I Had a Pencil poem that talks about students who have to go through so much just to get a pencil to come to school. And then they arrive at school and our teacher's asking, well, where's your pencil? Where's your notebook? Where's your pen? All the things that you need to use at school, but we don't know what the child has gone through before they arrived on our campuses. So we've got to make sure that we remind ourselves of what students come to us with, because they're dealing with a lot every day. They've experienced trauma or are experiencing trauma, and they already come to us with a lack of trust. They already are filled with anxiety. They might have intense fears. They might even be, as Dr. Karen Purvis already told us, they might be selective mute. So you're wondering, well, why aren't you talking? Like, what's wrong with you? You're just staring at me. They might have aggressive outbursts, and then they have avoidant behaviors. So let me show you this baby here. I know you're wondering, why is there just a mask on the screen? But I'm going to read to you this case study. Okay, trauma affects self-regulation, executive function, and our relationships. And social emotional learning tools allow students to recover from the challenges and ACEs that they experience. And that's from the American Psychological Association. And so when you think about this, if I'm coming to you with a lot of trauma, a lot of things that I've already been through before I even got up, when I go home, I may get, a beating. And I'm not telling anybody because it hasn't been discovered at school. So no one knows this yet. I don't trust people. I don't trust women because something happened to me with the woman. I don't trust men. I don't trust anybody because of things that have happened to me. Do you think they're going to come to school and feel safe if the same traumatic things or the same feelings arise when they get to school? Do you think they're going to feel safe? No, no, they're not going to feel safe. And so us as counselors, we're the heart of the school. So when we see kids, we're supposed to be about the business of providing those emotional supports and giving them tools that will allow them to recover from those challenges and the ACEs that they experience. That's why we're on the campus. That's why we're on the campus. So in the mandatory training we all did, the trauma informed care, we learned the acronym ACEs. And so I've already talked to you that it means adverse childhood experiences. And so we know that ACEs can include violence, can include abuse, can include growing up in a family with mental health or substance use problems, toxic stress, okay, from ACEs can change brain development and affect how the body responds to stress. Now, I know some of you are sitting here thinking, I have heard this over and over and over in trainings, but we're going to dig into it today. So I hope that as you're thinking, hopefully most of you are thinking, wow, I'm so glad that we're having this refresher on what I need to do and what I should be doing so that I can provide a safe school for my child, if not anybody else. But I know it can start with me. Now, the little baby you see on the screen here that I have wrapped so nicely with the nice blanket around his little face is my foster child. And of course, he was in foster care because of the trauma he had endured. When he came to me, he had ribs that were had been broken and were mending. He had burns on his feet and his legs and his hands, many different things that he had experienced. And the burns occurred because of the showers and being put in water that was too hot on purpose as a form of punishment. So when he came to me, do you think he was happy to take a bath? No. Do you think he trusted me when I was running the water for the bath? No, because he came to me already having those stressors that he already knew. Okay, what if she does the same thing to me? So I want you to think about your students, any foster kids you have, and just your students who are not in foster care. What have they experienced as a part of their own life before they even darken your doorway? Okay. Um, Many of our students come from hard places and traumatic events. So before we dive into our role in making the school safe, let's remind ourselves or introduce to some what a child from hard places has to go through. So we're going to watch a short video on what ACEs are and how they impact lifelong development. Make sure your volume is turned up.
A child's experiences early in life are important building blocks for the developing brain. Genes, nature, are like the blueprint. They provide the basic framework for brain development. However, genes do not design the brain completely. Environmental influences, nurture, fine-tune how the brain works by shaping which brain connections get used. Connections that are used more grow stronger and more permanent, whereas ones that do not get much use fade away. Together, genes and the environment build the foundation for all future development. Safe, stable, and nurturing relationships early in life lead to healthy development. But children's brains capture other experiences as well. Stressful events. However, not all stress is bad. Positive stress involves normal childhood experiences, like starting daycare or meeting a new person for the first time. This stress is essential for healthy development because it helps children develop coping skills and confidence. But when stress is frequent, chronic, and uncontrolled, it is toxic to children, especially when they do not have a caregiver to provide support or buffer the stress. Adverse childhood experiences, ACEs, such as abuse, neglect, exposure to intimate partner violence, parental depression or addiction, and poverty, are toxic stressors which could lead to lifelong changes in learning and behavior. ACEs early in development can impact social, emotional, and cognitive functioning, increased risk-taking behavior such as drinking and substance use, and increased risk of disease, disability, and social problems later in life. The question is, how do adverse childhood experiences impact a lifelong development? One of the most important systems in our body is our stress system. It's activated when we experience stress. We become alert, our heart rate increases, and so do our stress hormone levels, cortisol and adrenaline. Our body is ready to react, what is known as fight or flight. A short period of time after the stress is over, or if a child receives support from a caregiver, the stress response turns off and the body returns to a normal state. Adverse childhood experiences create stress responses that stay active, and without the support of a caregiver, the system has difficulty shutting off completely. This constant and prolonged activation can affect immune system functioning and increase the chances of sickness, infection, and disease. Prolonged activation of stress hormones is also toxic to the brain. Certain areas of the brain are more vulnerable to toxic stress, including the executive center or the brain's control center, an area important for solving complex problems, attention, reasoning, impulsivity, inhibition, and learning. A second area is the emotional center, the brain's alarm system, which is involved in processing and interpreting emotions and the ability to control impulses. The third area is the memory and learning center, the brain's filing cabinet. which plays a major role in learning and the formation and retrieval of memories. Science shows that adverse childhood experiences impact all of these brain centers. Behaviorally, what we begin to see is emotional distress, poor emotion regulation, greater impulsivity, learning difficulties, and physical and mental health problems. More recently, science has begun to look at how ACEs cause changes in gene expression through a process called epigenetics, which helps us understand how nature and nurture interact. Epigenetics causes changes in the way genes work without changing the DNA code itself. This occurs through chemical changes influencing how the code is used. In other words, genes are like the hardware in a computer. They determine the boundaries of what is possible. However, we need an operating system to tell the hardware what to do. Epigenetics is like the operating system directing the function of a gene's DNA hardware. The genes we are born with are the genes that we have for life, but experiences like nutrition, exercise, smoking, stressors, and relationships all affect our biology. Adverse childhood experiences are associated with epigenetic changes related to stress, brain development, cognition, and systems associated with mental and physical health. Changes that happen early in brain development are more likely to be enduring and are possibly passed on to future generations as well. The good news is that positive, supportive relationships at any stage in life can make a difference. However, supporting families and children early on will help prevent many of these negative outcomes. One of the key ingredients for healthy development is having warm, loving, and actively engaged caregivers. This involves promoting serve and return interactions, where caregivers actively and warmly engage with the child, making eye contact, responding to sounds, words, gestures, emotional needs, and sharing experiences like reading and play. Providing programs that support caregivers to strengthen these abilities are the blocks that build healthy foundations for life.
Thank you all for taking part in that. We will get back to our slideshow and we will certainly discuss. All right. Now, I want you to take a look at this slide for just a few moments. Let's review, all right? So safe, stable, and nurturing environments lead to a sense of felt safety. So again, I talked to you before the video, and I mentioned to you when you have a safe environment, we are part of that as counselors. We are the ones who can provide that feeling of safety when we get to know our kids, when we lean into what's going on to our kids, when we have our perception and we're really paying attention to changes in students' behaviors, and also when we're leading staff development on how to recognize if a child changes their appearance, what that could mean. If a child is acting out in a certain way, here are three things you can do to de-escalate. But we are the ones who start that, if anyone else on the campus, to bring about a safe, stable, and nurturing environment, because we really want to lead our kids into feeling a sense of felt safety at school. And also during the video, we saw that it said neglect, violence, and parent depression, poverty, and abuse lead to lifelong changes in learning and behavior. Isn't that something? So if you are an elementary counselor, it's great. We can jump on it ahead of time. Middle school, they've been alive longer. So we've got probably a lot of work to do, even in elementary these days also. And in the high school, we definitely have to make sure that we are the safe, stable, and people on the campus to really change our environment so these kids that have gone through so much can have a sense of felt safety. We also talked about, or he also discussed in the video, the stress hormone levels, heightened stress hormone levels. When heightened, they affect our ACEs. And then we create stress responses that stay active when we're continually in a heightened state of stress. And so This increases our chance of sickness, disease, and even death. And I think that was something that really, I've heard it before, but I think it was like, yeah, if you are continually in a heightened state of stress and your brain and your heart can't take that. So we're not going to have as long of a life when we're constantly on high alert all the time. Right. And so we also saw in the video that the brain's control center is affected by heightened stress, the emotional center where we control our emotions and we are able to regulate, and then our memory and learning, as you can see on the screen below before us. ACEs impact all of these brain centers: emotional distress, poor emotional regulation, greater impulsivity, learning difficulties, physical and mental health problems. So this is why we have such an important job. We are an integral part of helping to alleviate and overcome the ACEs. So again, as we saw in the video, ACEs can have lasting effects. Health. Let's look at this first point here: obesity, diabetes, depression, suicide attempts, STDs, heart disease, cancer. Because, when they say STDs, you're a little more free to be whomever you maybe get out there and do risky behaviors because you feel like you don't have much to lose. Why not? Heart disease, cancer, stroke, COPD, broken bones, behaviors: smoking, alcoholism, drug use, life potential, graduation rates, academic achievement, lost time from work. So, just another detail: an estimated 62% of adults surveyed across 23 states reported that they had experienced one ACE during their childhood, and nearly one quarter reported that they had experienced three or more ACEs. So, again, as we know, ACEs can have negative, lasting effects on our health, on our well being, and on our opportunities. These exposures can disrupt healthy brain development, affect our social development, compromise our immune systems, and can lead to substance misuse and other unhealthy coping behaviors. The evidence confirms that these exposures increase the risk of injury, sexual transmitted diseases, including, as I read already, HIV, mental health problems, or something new that I did not say, maternal and child health problems, teen pregnancy, involvement in sex trafficking, a wide range of chronic diseases, and the leading causes of death, such as cancer, diabetes, heart disease, and suicide. ACEs can also negatively affect and impact education, employment, and earnings potential. The total economic and social cost to families, communities, and society is in the hundreds of billions of dollars each year. And those are just a few of the things that I wanted to make sure that we covered, but isn't that few a lot? Okay. Now, also in our video, we saw them discuss serve and return interactions. So, as counselors, I've repeated over and over, we are a safe place for our students. When we are supportive, we're positive, we're warm, and we're caring, we create a feeling of a safer school environment. We can impact our school environment with our comprehensive programs. So, per the video, the key ingredients for helping development is when we engage with children positively. The action is called, when we do that, the action is called serve and return interactions. So when we engage ourselves with students when reading, responding to sounds, words, gestures, we positively impact students who may otherwise feel unsafe. We disarm them with these types of interactions. So we know, as a little girl's giving us a thumbs up, the outcome is positive. When you are the safe space for those students, and when you're doing your workshops, I'm going to keep reiterating that. When you're doing your parent workshops on how parents can interact positively with their kids, have alternate ways to discipline their children, or how to, even parents who had ACEs growing up, or in different types of relationships that cause them to be under high stress or have high stress jobs. We're doing those workshops so we can teach parents some strategies and skills. And it doesn't necessarily always have to be us. We can call in other professionals from outside agencies to come in and train our parents. Same thing with teachers. We could do teacher workshops. We could do the how to how to de-escalate a situation tip of the day, or we could have staff meetings after school on our own. It doesn't even have to be during staff meeting. It could be during PLC. It could be on your own meetings after school. Hey, if you want to come to this meeting that I'm having, we're going to have so and so from this agency come, or I'm going to be presenting strategies. We're going to actually work them. We're going to do them. We're going to get up and role play, make it fun for the teachers. These are the ways that you are creating a safe space. And you're also empowering teachers who may not know how to de-escalate a situation, how to change the behaviors of those students, other than I'm just going to send them to the principal because they can't be in my class because they keep acting out. Yes, they keep acting out, and I empathize and I sympathize. But here are some things that you can do to help empower yourself to create a safe space even in your classroom, because when we do that, then you're going to have a safer school. Okay, so we want to make sure that we are acknowledging the feelings of other students. We want to return conversation with students in a positive way. So when children feel safe, they feel that their needs are being met and that they have control and that they can heal and correct their behavior. The relationships that we ourselves have built with those students that we have can give these same kids what they need to thrive, and their brain can grow in the places that were damaged. It was important to Dr. Purvis, the one I've talked to you about already, that we work to keep children from hard places not just safe, but we keep them happy, because her research shows that it takes 400 repetitions of a behavior to build a new synapse, but only 12 repetitions if it's done with a feeling of joy and safety. Now, I want you to think about that again, okay? That last sentence, I'm putting the pow in the last sentence, okay? It was important to Dr. Purvis, and it should be important to us to keep children from hard places, not just safe, but happy. Because her research shows that it takes 400 repetitions of a behavior to build a new synapse, but only 12 if it's done with a feeling of joy and safety. And you guys, we've talked about this before. You know, when you're having a bad day and you come to work and you just looking like, I hope so and so does not show up, because today is not the day. I don't have time for the foolishness today. But we guys, we have to put on that smile. We have as much as we can, or that firm tone, but with that sense of love, so the kids know, hey, not only do we not have time, but we're going to take time, and we're going to make sure that you feel safe. I'm not going to validate you kicking a hole in the wall, but I'm going to show you how that's not pleasing, shouldn't be pleasing to you either. But I want you to feel safe in talking to me, and these are some strategies so the next time maybe you won't kick a hole in the wall. Maybe you'll just throw the chair, but you won't throw the chair and kick a hole in the wall, until we get to where you don't do anything and you know how to just go sit quietly and count down and use your breathing techniques or whatever the case may be. So again, it was important for Dr. Purvis's work to keep children from hard places not just safe, but happy. And we want to make sure that we are doing 12 repetitions with joy, right? Instead of 400 repetitions of behaviors. Now it's time, you all, to take the ACEs quiz. So hopefully you have been pausing this Zoom and going to your reflection piece on the form that I was telling you about, and you're going to take the ACEs quiz. So you can use this for yourself if you like, but keep in mind, okay, before you start, this is going to pull up some memories for you that you may not be ready to deal with. Okay. So when you get to a question that maybe is pulling a little bit too much out, perhaps skip it and come back another time, or peruse the questions and see what they're asking you. And then if you're like, yeah, this, I don't need to deal with that right now. But thank goodness you're where you are. You're not in the, where people are looking at you. But I want you to take the ACEs quiz. Um, or you can use this test to think about the students you have currently, or people you know, family members, neighbors, or other experiences you might have heard of, in order to take the quiz. You will get an ACEs score at the end of the quiz. And so understanding that our ACEs can have huge effects on our lives if we don't have an experience with a person who can pivot the negative slide of life, of these situations. We are the pivoters, right? Counselors, we pivot Okay, yes, you've been through that, but let's turn the corner here and use this skill, right? We as counselors do this. Ask yourself these questions from the start. Um, and so let's see, before you start it, let's see what the ACEs quiz looks like. Okay, now I want you to remember that the ACEs quiz gives no insight to whether an individual child might be more or less sensitive to adversity, and ask no questions about whether there may have been been any protective relationships in place to help buffer the child from stress. So the ACEs quiz can only give you insight into what might be at risk, not who is at risk for certain later life challenges. Okay. So how you're going to do this, it says for each yes answer, add one. The total number at the end is your cumulative number of ACEs. Now you're going to start off with before your 18th birthday. So right here, before your 18th birthday, this is how you're going to start each of the prompts. The first question: did a parent or other adult in the household often or very often swear at you, insult you, put you down, humiliate you, or act in a way that made you afraid that you might be physically hurt? And you all, if you want to, I'll ask the questions and you can just sit and reflect and think. Um, you can just listen, okay, as I ask the questions. Then number two, did a parent or other adult in the household often or very often before the age of 18, remember, push, grab, slap, or throw something at you, or ever hit you so hard that you had marks or were injured before the age of 18? Number three, did an adult or person at least 5 years older than you ever touch or fondle you, or have you touch their body in a sexual way, or attempt or actually have? And I'll let you read the screen. Number four, did you often, and again, before the age of 18, did you often or very often feel that no one in your family loved you or thought you were important or special, or your family didn't look out for each other or feel close to each other or support each other? Before the age of 18, did you often or very often feel that you did not have enough to eat, had to wear dirty clothes, or had no one to protect you, or your parents were too drunk or high to take care of you or take you to the doctor if you needed it? This is before the age of 18. Number six, were your parents ever separated or divorced? Number seven, was your mother or stepmother before the age of 18 often or very often pushed, grabbed, slapped, or had something thrown at her? Or sometimes, often or very often, kicked, bitten, hit with a fist, or hit with something hard? Or ever repeatedly hit over at least a few minutes or threatened with a gun or knife? Number eight, before the age of 18, did you live with anyone who was a problem drinker or alcoholic, or who used street drugs? Number nine, was a household member depressed or mentally ill, or did a household member attempt suicide before the age of 18 for you? Before you were 18, number 10, did a household member go to prison? Okay. And then there is an article that I want you to take a moment to read. Again, this is heavy stuff. So we don't want you to, delve back into this and then not have any light at the end of the tunnel. Well, the light at the end of the tunnel, I will say, for one, is that you're sitting here today with your master degree self, and you are a counselor in Dallas ISD, and you're getting a paycheck and you have money coming in, and we're just thankful for that, because after all of these, if you have experienced any of these, all of these, some of these, none of these, if you experienced none of them, well, that's wonderful. Someone around you most likely has. But if you've experienced some, none, all, you are really, with kudos to you, because you have really overcome some very heavy things, but we want you to go ahead and click on that article and get more information on some next steps. But again, this is to get you to understand that a lot of our kids are going through the things that you saw right here in this ACEs quiz. So you've been through some, they've been through, are going through some perhaps. And so this is why we've got to make sure that we are the safe place and we know how to help make our school a safe place. Okay. How can we prevent or mitigate the effect of ACEs? As we saw in the videos and throughout our discussion so far today, you all, ACEs have a strong impact on future success. As counselors, we can connect families and youth to the resources that they need from an early age or connect them as soon as they arrive on our campuses to try to prevent the lifelong effects ACEs can have on their lives. Here are a few things we can do to prevent ACEs, which will lead to safer schools and a felt sense of belonging. We may address the ACEs to assist in these efforts. Okay, so when we bring them to our groups, when we've asked teachers to refer them to us for small group or individual counseling, we know what these ACEs are. Now, some of the things that they may begin to tell us may be beyond our scope, and we refer out to mental health services or different agency that the district has approved. But it starts with us, right? We are the gateway to getting help that the students need. Okay. I'm going to read these bullets on this slide. So, strengthening economic supports for family, connecting to outside agencies, promoting social norms that protect against violence and adversity, small groups, individual counseling groups. Third bullet, ensuring a strong start for children and paving the way for them to reach their full potential. Home visits, parent workshops, staff workshops, right? Teaching skills to help parents and youth handle stress, manage emotions, and tackle everyday challenges. Parent workshops, social emotional learning, safe dating, red ribbon, anti bullying, school wide events, all these things are to show kids how they can combat or who that key person is that's doing all these school-wide events. I can go to them because they understand what's happening maybe, and I can talk to them, right? Also, I want to encourage you all if you have time, we have so much to do as counselors, mental health professionals, start a club of those kids that you have a small group with during the day. Start a one day after school club that you're going to get maybe an outside agency to fund a field trip to the zoo for reduction in behavior referrals for that child, whatever the case may be. um, we're going to help prevent or mitigate the effect of ACEs. The four, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth bullet, connecting youth to caring adults and activities, Rainbow Days, Mosaic Family Services, Boys and Girls Club, Girl and Boy Scouts. Okay, there's so many different things that the list is exhaustive. The last bullet, intervening to lessen immediate and long-term harms. So that is the RVQs, the risk of violence questionnaire, the suicide risk assessments, outside agencies, youth and family, family services. Isn't that what we do, you all? We do a lot of things. And if they don't know, now they know. We do a lot of things. So you could even use this slide during a parent workshop, or to talk to your staff about all the things that you have on your shoulders to do, because we're just awesome like that. Okay. Research shows that parents facing financial hardships are more likely to experience stress, depression, and conflict in their relationships and family, all of which compromise parenting and increase the risk for violence and other ACEs. Okay. So parents facing financial hardship also have fewer resources to invest in their children and face difficult choices when trying hard, trying to balance work and family responsibilities. About 4 in 10 children under the age of 18 in the United States lives in a low income household, including more than half of African American and Hispanic children. Now, I'm going to stop right there. Just want you to let that soak in, okay? If you go and find out on your My Data portal page, most of our kids are low socioeconomic status, so SES. And so all of our 100% of our kids are receiving free lunch, but some truly need it, right? So these are the kids that we're dealing with. Not to say that because you don't have a lot of money, you're going to have more ACEs. No one is saying that, okay? But there are statistics to show about what I'm talking to you about today. So nearly 1 in 10 children in the U.S. live in deep poverty. Strong evidence consistently links low income to ACE exposures and children's long term health, educational, and social outcomes. Now, why could this be? Why is this? Well, if we don't have a lot of money, then we're stressing about food. If mom doesn't have a job, maybe she's stressing about a job. If dad is stressing about his job, then maybe he's stressed at home and his emotions are aimed at the children, and so there's a lot of turmoil at the house. There's a lot of stress, there's a lot of tension, there's a lot of anxiety that's rising. I know when I go home, there's not going to be anything to eat, or my siblings and I are going to have to fight over a bowl of soup or whatever the case may be. So all these things attribute themselves and contribute to the ACEs. Strong evidence consistently links low income to ACE exposures and children's long-term health, educational, social outcomes. Addressing the social and economic underpinnings of ACE is critical to achieving lasting and sustainable effects. Addressing the social and economic underpinnings of ACEs is critical to achieving lasting and sustainable effects. Policies that strengthen household financial security, like tax credits, child care subsidies, and other forms of temporary assistance and livable wages can all help. And family-friendly work policies, such as paid leave and flexible and consistent work schedules, can prevent ACEs by increasing economic stability and family income, increasing maternal employment, and improving parents' ability to meet children's basic needs and obtain high-quality childcare. Now, these types of policies can also prevent ACEs by reducing parental stress and depression, and by protecting families from losing income to care for a sick child or family member. So, you have to take off work so you don't have money to pay for that sick child. It's like a circle and a cycle that goes. Strengthening economic supports for families is a multi-generation strategy that addresses the needs of parents and children so that both can succeed and achieve lifelong health and well-being. So you're sitting there thinking, well, how am I supposed to help them with a job? I mean, we do all this other stuff. How am I going to help them get a job now? I'm supposed to do that now too? Not necessarily. But as counselors, we again have links to outside agencies. We have, Catholic Charities. We have the resource book, Dallas resource book. We have many different things within our own district, the homeless educational program. We have lots of resources in our district that we can utilize in order to link families with certain things that they're needing. Hopefully, campuses have a community liaison, or communities in schools, or things. We have a community partnership uh, center in our district. So those are places that you can reach out to. So that's how we support families with these types of things. And when we support families to things and resources, important resources that they need, this support that we can do lends to having a safe school and a sense of felt safety. Okay. Now, this next slide says promoting social norms that protect against violence and adversity. Okay, how do we help support families with this? Okay, this is yet another thing. How do we do this? Okay, norms are group level beliefs. We had some to start with, right? Norm that we wanted, I asked you to do, to lean in, to make sure you're tuning in, you're turning off your electronic devices, because I need you to tune in so we'll all be on one accord here. So norms are group level beliefs and expectations about how members of the group should behave. Changing social norms that accept or allow indifference to violence and adversity is important in the prevention of ACEs. There are a number of norms that can protect against violence and adversity, including those that, one, promote community norms around a shared responsibility for the health and well-being of all children. So how do we at the school promote community norms. Well, our community and during the workday is our campus. Okay. So if we're the ones who are leading those workshops with our teachers, helping them to understand this is how you can help Joe the next time he acts out, or this is what you can do to help Sarah the next time she acts out. And let's role play this. Let's make it fun. Let's have some invite them after school and have some chip and dip while we role play how today the teacher comes in and says, this was my experience with Joe. This is what he did. What do I do? Have everybody think about some things, strategies, and then come together and practice those. So we were promoting community norms, letting everybody know we have a shared responsibility that we improve the health and well-being of all the children on the campus. Another point, support parents and positive parenting, including norms around safe and effective discipline. So again, those are those workshops that come into play. Okay, we want to make sure we're doing those. And again, if you're like, I've done 5 workshops already, I don't do any more workshops, call around and ask Mosaic to send somebody from your mental health service person can come and talk. There are ways to have your workshops without you being the presenter every time. Another thing you can do is foster healthy and positive norms around gender, masculinity, and violence to protect against violence towards um, intimate partners, children, and peers. Reduce the stigma around help seeking. Okay. We don't want kids to feel like, well, if I go talk to her or if I go tell on this student because they're bothering me, then they're going to look at me as a snitch. That's why we do those school-wide uh, programs, anti-bullying, teen dating violence, to let the kids know you have to tell so we can help you. Okay. It's not anything bad around seeking help. Okay. Enhance connected. And the last point I want to make on this particular slide is to enhance connectedness, to build resiliency in the face of adversity. When teachers don't know how to create a safe space in their classrooms, kids don't feel safe in the classroom. They don't want to be there. But when teachers have been trained on how to build up community in your classroom and how to help your students get along with one another, with pulling out those kids who maybe are having issues with their behaviors. And so students don't want to be around them. So then, the classroom is divided. When we teach those kids skills and they go back to that classroom and the other kids see, wow, they've changed. I want to get to know them. Or when we do those classroom guidance lessons and we're able to talk to them about how to make and keep a friend, right? This is enhancing connectedness to build resiliency in the face of adversity, because remember, there's always going to be adversity. There's always going to be things that we're going to go through. There's always going to be trauma and trouble. However, what we do with it when we face it will change the trajectory of not only our own individual lives, but those around us. And in this particular instance, of our schools. Okay, let's move on to the next one. I've stayed on that slide long enough. Okay. All right. A child's relationship with others inside and outside the family plays a role in healthy brain development, as well as in the development of physical, emotional, social, behavioral, and intellectual capacities. So the title of this particular slide says, Ensuring a Strong Start for Children and Paving the Way for Them to Reach Their Full Potential. Now, isn't that what we want to do? We want them to have a strong start. Now, so again, this elementary people, you're the strong start, right? But then middle school people, you're the strong start. And then high school people, you also are the strong start. What I mean is, it has to start somewhere. Just because they may, oh, well, they're in high school now. I mean, those are learned behaviors. It's not going away. Well, it is going to be a little harder because it's in there now. They've been used to doing it. They've been used to seeing it. However, when can we start? We're not going to start ever, or we're going to start. So we want to ensure that there's a strong start for children at every level to pave a way for them to reach their full potential. It's never too late. As they used to say, it's never, you can't teach an old, what is it? You can't teach an old dog any new tricks. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You really can. All right. Parents may struggle to provide the care and nurturing necessary for children to develop these capacities and thrive for a number of reasons, right? The things like physical, emotional, social, behavior, and intellectual capacities is what I'm talking about. And parents can help their children thrive, okay? But looking at this, substance misuse, mental health issues, financial issues, or access to resources are things that we can help our parents do. This is how we can support our families, okay? Early childhood home visitation can prevent ACEs by providing information, caregiver support, and training about child health, development, and care to families in their homes to build a safe, stable, nurturing, and supportive home environment. Now, okay, I can already hear some people say, I ain't going to nobody's house. Now, you're doing a lot with that. I'm not going to nobody's house. I understand. I do understand. Some schools have, again, like I mentioned before, communities and schools personnel, or they have the community liaison that does that. Or maybe the admin team does that. Um, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just reading you the facts that in home care does help to build safe, stable, nurturing, supportive home environment. And so, you guys, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to physically go into the home. Perhaps this means that you can offer a Zoom training so that those people who are in their home can Zoom with you to get the trainings that we're talking about. Okay. So you don't necessarily have to physically go to the home to do that. There's many different ways that we can get in people's homes nowadays, okay? High quality childcare and preschool enrichment programs with family engagement, linking parents to those high quality childcare and preschool enrichment programs, or the ones that we have on our own campuses, because we've empowered those teachers to know how to create a safe environment for those kids. All of these things help children build a strong foundation for future and learning and opportunities by improving their physical, social, emotional, and cognitive development, language and literacy skills, and school readiness. These approaches also help by strengthening connections between home and school environments. And that could, you guys, be that you give the teacher a uh, behavior bar graph or a behavior table or something where teachers can send it home to say Joe did this, that, and the other today. And then always encourage teachers to anything Joe does that's good, please praise him for it, so he will start increasing the amount of good things he's doing. So you can send home something with the teacher, teach them how to utilize those communication pieces between home and school so that the parent is getting what they need as far as information, and then you got showing a united front. So you all are working together to improve those behaviors. Um, they can strengthen the connections between home and school environments, and these types of things can be especially beneficial to economically disadvantaged children who may not have educational resources at home or the support to help them learn and thrive. So this is how we support our families with this. When we're supporting our families, then we are creating a safe environment and a safer school. And students feel, because of this, that they belong. Okay. Now, this slide says teaching skills to help parents and youth handle stress, manage emotions, and tackle everyday challenges. Okay. Now, how do we support our families with this? Because as the other slides in this slide say, this support lends to a safe school and students feeling like they belong. So here we go. Skill-based learning is an important part of a comprehensive approach to prevent ACEs. Decades of research shows that teaching children and youth skills to handle stress, resolve conflicts, and manage their emotions and behaviors can prevent violence, victimization, and perpetration, as well as substance misuse, sexually transmitted infections, including HIV and teen pregnancy. Strengthening parenting skills and promoting, nurturing, and supporting family environments can build a strong foundation for children and protect them from multiple forms of violence, substance misuse, and other negative health outcomes across developmental periods and on into adulthood. Okay, there are a number of approaches to teach skills. Social emotional learning approaches, also referred to as universal school based programs. We have many different ones, but ones that stand out right now to me would be um, Momentous Institute offers services. I can't even think of the other training right now, but it'll come to me. I'm having a senior moment. Okay. um, when you deliver them to all students in a particular classroom, school, or grade. They're widely used across the United States to enhance interpersonal skills. This includes skills related to communication, Sanford Harmony, you all, Sanford Harmony, we have that, related to communication, problem solving, alcohol and drug resistance, conflict management, empathy, coping, and emotional awareness and regulation. Okay, for the older kids, safe dating and healthy relationship skill programs address similar skills within the context of dating and intimate partner relationships with the goal of promoting caring, respectful, and nonviolent relationships. So now, again, at every level in Dallas ISD, from through counseling services, we have all that I just talked about. We have resources that you can use on your campus for guidance lessons, for small group, for individual counseling. We have those types of things. So if you're like, okay, what about the teen dating? We have a whole thing on teen dating violence in our Google Drive where that you can use lessons to help with those types of things. So anything I'm mentioning to you, we have a resource. Okay. Parenting skills and family relationship approaches cover developmentally appropriate expectations for child behavior. They teach behavior management, monitoring, and problem solving skills, safe and effective discipline, healthy relationship behaviors, and work with parents to enhance parent child communication and ways to support children and youth. So, again, a lot of these we're thinking, how do I do this? Parent workshops, Zoom workshops. There's different ways to reach our families to give them what they need so that kids feel supported and safe, so that the work that you're doing on the campuses every day doesn't stop right at the school doors, but it extends to home, okay, and then to the community. This slide connecting youth to caring adults and activities. So, how do we support our families with this? And what do we do? So, relationships with caring adults who are positive remote role models can prevent ACEs and improve future outcomes for young people. Caring adults could include teachers, coaches, extended family members, neighbors, or community volunteers. Now, stop right there. Caring adults can include teachers, coaches, extended family members, neighbors, and community volunteers. Don't we do all of this already, you all? When we're having these college and career days, we're bringing people in from the outside to show them that there is a future, there is a hope, right? That they're going to prosper. So if you just stay along this path, this is what you can be. We do all of these things, okay? So when you're thinking about how you're going to connect kids with caring adults and community members, think about who you already have in your scope. Who are some of your professional friends that you can have do a background check, who can go on the Volley website through Dallas ISD and come and talk to some classrooms? Your principal, hey, I would really love to bring in once every 6 weeks, at least 5 speakers to go to all 5 of my 5th grade classes, or all of my 8th grade classes, or all of my 11th grade classes, because I'm really having some behavior issues in those places. So I want the kids to be able to see what life is like. It's not just what's at your house, right? It's not just the pain that you may be going through that I don't even know about yet, but there's other things that's beyond this school. So that is something that's very important. Okay. And then when kids are excited about, oh, this week we're going to have so and so come and talk to us, they're excited to come to school because that counselor has different programs that are up and running at school, and people are coming in, and I'm learning new things. And next week we're going to have Red Ribbon Week, and then we're going to have Higher Ed Week, and then we're going to have No One Eats Alone, then we're going to have Unity Day. So all these things create a sense of felt safety and create a safe school. We all do it already, you guys. Please stop what you're doing and pat yourself on the back. You're already doing it. And if you're a little slow in getting started with some things, go ahead, reach out to some of your co-counselors on your campus, or if you're by yourself at other campuses. Hey, what are you doing for this? Can you share that with me? I need a PowerPoint on such and such. Or who did you use to speak on this subject? All these things can help. Okay, so Again, connecting youth to caring adults and activities helps to ground them, improve their engagement in school, and establish positive networks and experiences. It's an important preventive strategy to buffer against parental absence or other difficulties at home and frequent moving. A lot of our kids are very transient. They're at apartment until that deal is over, and then they can move somewhere else because now we get 75% off and we have free utilities. Now we're moving over here because this, so frequent moving and their life is always moving and it's hard to make connections or it's just, it's always transient. They can never take root. And so they don't even know how long they're going to be with you because they move so often. But while they're with you, there's a lot of things you can do. Okay. Exposure to negative influences at school and in the community can be very harmful to our kids, but that's why we're in the picture. Okay. It can also help, but you can also help buffer against the impact of ACEs for youth who have already experienced ACEs by all that I've talked about. Mentoring and after school programs are ways to connect you to other caring adults and activities. Now, here's something that I will just add. So, on your campus, you may have a student council group, and that student council group might be a great group of kids that can once a week have lunch with some of your first grade kids who are experiencing behavior difficulties. But those student council kids that we know are trying to make good decisions can maybe meet with those students just to check in with them. Hey, how's it going? Or have breakfast with those students, not maybe lunch because then you have to pull them out of class, but maybe during everybody's breakfast, they could, those fifth grade kids who have shown that they have leadership potential or they are already leaders can go and be with those first graders in sort of a mentoring thing. So isn't that empowering for both those fifth grade kids that get to go say, hey, I got to go talk to first grade, and I'm helping with this and that. Isn't that something that they could do and also feel good about? So, mentoring programs pair youth with an adult volunteer, if you want to go that route, with the goal of fostering a relationship that will contribute to the young person's growth opportunities. So, your adult volunteers, again, could be those people from Mosaic Family Services. They could be from Rainbow Days. You set that up on your campus. There's people, hey, can you spend a one lunch period a month coming to sit with this child at my school? Connection, all of those things help kids feel safe and want to come to school and give them the opportunity to grow. Mentoring programs may be delivered in a school community setting and to youth of all ages from early childhood through adolescence. After school programs are a way to provide opportunities for youth to strengthen their behavioral, leadership, and academic skills and become involved in positive school and community activities. Now, on our campuses, there's already after school program. How many of your kids who have to ride the bus are involved in those after school programs? So I want you to think about that. Because some of the kids are like, well, I don't have a way for mom or dad to pick me up because we don't have a car. So I have to leave when the bus leaves. So I can't stay after for those types of things. So I have no robotics club to look forward to. I have no, after school theater group to be with the theater teacher. I don't have anything like that to look forward to. So those are conversations that you can have with your principals on, okay, how is there another bus we can provide for the kids? So those kids who have to be bussed out of here can stay later. What can we do to allow them the same opportunities as the kids who live closer to the school and walk home, or those parents who have cars, and can pick their kids up later? What can I do, Principal so and so? What can we do to make sure that all of our kids feel like this is a safe place? This is a fun place to be, besides just always academics. There's other things I can do after school. So, other after school programs range from people to those offer tutoring and homework assistance to more formal skill-based programs and structured learning activities. If you don't have anything like that on your campus, talk to your principal about getting something like that started. Okay, because those programs also address other key risk and protective factors for high risk behavior by providing adult supervision during critical periods during the day, such as between 3 and 6, because that's a lot of the time when youth crime and violence peaks between 3 and 6. Isn't that interesting? Right when our kids get out of school. Mentoring and after school programs can reduce the prevalence of crime, violence, and other adolescent risk behavior and pave the way for positive outcomes in school. And with that, I want us to take Just a short break, you all, because we need a little breather. Let's just pause the screen, go take a break, and I'll be right here waiting for you when you come back. All right. Thank you for taking that break. Hopefully, you paused the screen and went and got some more hot chocolate or some more coffee or hot tea or whatever you're something to bite. Take a bite out of, eat, and enjoy. And we're going to continue to go on again because we're trying to figure out how can we not only do wonderful things on the campus, just us, but how can we support our families, the whole family? Okay. So this slide says intervening to lessen immediate and long term harms. Children and youth with ACE exposures may show signs of behavioral and mental health challenges. They may be irritable, depressed, display acting out behaviors, have difficulty sleeping or concentrating, and show other traumatic stress symptoms. They may be struggling with school, associating with delinquent peers, and already engaging in other health compromising behaviors like alcohol use, opioid misuse, high risk sexual behavior, so on and so forth. Continued exposure to violence and other adversity increases the risk that these patterns will continue into adulthood, potentially affecting their own future and their children's future. Timely access to assessment intervention and effective care, support, and treatment for children and families in which ACEs have already occurred can help mitigate the health and behavioral consequences of ACEs, ultimately strengthening the children's resilience and break the cycle of adversity. So, wait a minute. Timely access to assessment, intervention, and effective care and support and treatment. And what does that even mean? What does that look like? Okay. Well, mental health service personnel, you've already done your small groups. Maybe you feel like I need to meet with this child individually. You've already done your small group 4 to 6 weeks or longer, and you're just thinking, yeah, I need somebody else that can come in and help because there's still some issues here. It's a little bit deeper than my scope. So I'm going to reach out to my mental health services personnel. I'm going to reach out to Mosaic Family Services. I'm going to reach out to my outside agencies that are approved by the district in order to get some family counseling for this child because mom and dad need to be there, or grandma and grandpa need to be there. Whoever has raised this child, whoever is raising the guardian, the foster parent, they need some supports. So I'm going to identify and I'm going to address those issues with outside referrals and intervention services and supports. Okay, because we got to intervene at some point. If what we're doing is not working, we don't see any outcome or any change in a positive way, we've got to reach out. For children, assessments may be used with parents or caregivers to identify risks in the family environment, such as parental alcohol or drug use, depression, stress, and use of harsh punishment. Enhanced primary care may be used to identify and address ACE exposures with brief screening assessments and referral to intervention services and supports. Again, those things are going to come with your referral to outside agencies, okay? For children, assessments may be used with parents or caregivers to identify risk in the family environment, such as parental alcohol or drug use, depression, stress, and the use of harsh punishment, as well as intimate partner violence. For adults, assessments may be used to identify a history of ACE exposures to assist with risk mitigation and improve treatment outcomes. Follow-up intervention services are tailored to assessment findings and coordinated with local community agencies. Again, reach out to those mental health services personnel so they can meet with those families and get approval or get permission to have small group or individual counseling or whatever needs to be done, or any type of evaluation to see what's really happening with the child. These things are all going to help, okay? For children and adult survivors of violence, victim-centered services can be both life-saving and helpful in reducing the harms of violence. So if you're able to reach out and get those types of things through mental health services and other services, then you're definitely helping. Such services can include crisis interventions, hotlines, medical and legal advocacy, housing support, social support, and access to community resources. And we do all of those things. For children of survivors, such services also include meeting their needs around recreation, school supports, and material goods. Treatment to lessen the harms of ACEs may be used to address depression, fear, and anxiety, post traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, or problems adjusting to school, work, or daily life, and other symptoms of disease. These symptoms can be successfully reduced with therapeutic treatments that are trauma informed. And so that we've had our trauma informed care training, right? But again, if we see something that's beyond us, we're going to reach out to that mental health services personnel to see what else it is that we can do. Reach out to your coordinator to see what else can I do? What other services can I do? Help me to brainstorm. Okay. We want to make sure that the therapeutic treatments that are being offered are delivered in a way that is influenced by knowledge and understanding of how trauma affects the survivor's life and experiences, both short and long term, and tailored to the specific circumstances and needs of children, youth, and families. Okay. Treatment to prevent problem behavior and future involvement in violence is another approach to mitigate consequences. This also includes therapeutic interventions and other supports to address the social, emotional, and behavioral risk associated with ACE exposures. Evidence-based treatments are provided by trained clinicians in the home or clinic clinic setting, and typically include multiple components, which is individual and family counseling, parent training, and school consultation. So again, when something is beyond your scope, you've done all that you can do, and after all you can do, and you're still trying to stand, reach out to those mental health services professionals so that they can get them connected with the more therapeutic services that they need. Okay. Finally, family-centered treatment approaches for substance and use disorders may be used to simultaneously address substance misuse by parents and the needs of their children with ACE exposures. Okay, because we know that parents with alcohol and drug use problems may have a difficulty regulating also, right? They're not processing emotions, they're not fulfilling the needs of the child, they're way out of order. And so we've got to also again get that parent help so that we're covering not only what's going on with the child in school, but in the home. So when we approach it by looking at the whole child, not just how I can help you here on campus, they definitely can support and change the outcome for our students. Okay, we got to get these parents some training. Maybe they need food, maybe they need medical services, employment assistance, help with childcare, after school care. You know, we definitely need to support our parents in things of this nature. Okay, now I've been talking to you all the time about the counselor's role in preventing trauma. So I want to make sure that we do the things that are on this slide. We want to identify our traumatized students. We want to educate staff on the effects of trauma and how to refer students to the school counselor. So the staff doesn't know how to tell me that Joe is throwing chairs in my room, or besides sending Joe straight down to me after he's had an outburst, then how are we going to really help the students? And then I may not even be in my office when Joe shows up, and then on the way to my office, when the teacher sends them, Joe has hit a couple of students on the way. So we have to educate our staff on the effects of trauma and how to refer students to me as the counselor, or to you. Avoid practices that may re-traumatize students. So, and that goes, we know how when somebody's acting out, we're not going to go and start yelling at them, because that's not going to de-escalate, that's going to escalate. Okay. If we're familiar with who the child is and the teachers really know their students, then they're going to avoid things that could cause some re-traumatization. That was my word I made up. Not sure if that's a word, but we want to avoid the practices that may re-traumatize our kids. We want to implement effective academic and behavioral practices, such as positive behavioral interventions and supports and social and emotional learning. There used to be a book in the district that was called, what was it called? Was it called PBIS? It was a blue and yellow book, and it had all these interventions. And I believe that's still on some of the campuses. But those interventions really do help when teachers come to us about specific behaviors and problems that they're encountering. We could use that book. So we need to see how many campuses still have that book. Okay, the next bullet says promote a trauma sensitive framework for policies, procedures, and behaviors to the entire staff. So when we're talking to our staff about um, how to de-escalate students, or when we have someone come in and to talk to our teachers and faculty and staff about how to bring down a child who is not regulated, we want to make sure that whenever we're planning anything, we're coming from the mindset of, I want to be trauma sensitive. So instead of being punitive in everything that we do and say, let's be trauma sensitive. Let's consider what could possibly be going on with that child before we just say, yeah, most definitely, you're going to go spend time in detention or ISS. Okay. You want to collaborate with community resources to provide support for students. So as school counselors, ASCA says the counselor's role is vast in leading all of this charge that I just read to you. Remember, counselors, you guys, we're the heart of the school. We make our children feel safe and cared for. And these are two very important things. There are objectives on a daily basis. The child needs to feel safe. The child needs to feel cared for. And we can add a whole bunch of other things that the child needs to feel and have, right? And so, but those are two important things because we are talking about sense of belonging and a safe school. So what is the counselor's role in the sense of belonging and safe schools initiative? Well, I've talked to you about it. If you have stopped, paused the screen and gone back and done some reflection, I know this is one of the questions on here, so make sure you're really leaning in. We're going to go into some more details on this. So how can we best work with students who have ACEs and those who don't? Because we know there are students who have not experienced abuse, homelessness, etc., but they may have experienced the pressure to be great, the pressure to be better, the pressure to excel academically, the pressure to master everything. Mom or dad is the CEO of this or that, or and parents are putting pressure on them to live up to those same standards. But maybe I have a learning disability, and I'm probably not going to get there without more support. And so things don't come easy to me, right? So there's different, it's not just, students who are economically disadvantaged and the parents are, divorced or on drugs or, homeless or whatever. It's all across the board, right? There are different ACEs that affect children. It's just a fact. So some of these can adversely affect self-esteem. So it's important to recognize that ACEs can be from that side as well. Okay. And we as mental health supports on campuses have a role that is clearly defined, and it begins with a comprehensive counseling program. Okay. So I mentioned to you all that we would go into that today. So the answer to the question is just this. What's our role in the Sense of Belonging and Safe Schools initiative? A counselor is a leader. We are the leader in the Safe Schools initiative. And Dallas ISD, as part of our comprehensive counseling program, that will be said often during this presentation. I've said it before. We pattern ourselves after ASCA, the American School Counselor Association position that school counselors collaborate with school staff and the community to ensure students attend schools where the environment is conducive to teaching and to learning. In order to shape this thought of the counselor being a leader in this initiative, we must understand how. Okay, we've got to understand how. You're telling me all this, Ms. Owens, but how am I supposed to do this? I got all this stuff I'm doing. They got me doing lunch duty. They have me on the attendance committee. They have me doing this, that, and the other, and the third. Okay, we got to find a way, you guys, because we've got to get our kids we've got to be the catalyst to change in our schools. But let me start with the counselor. What's the rationale? Why the school counselor? Why are we asking you this? Why are we saying you're the heart? You're the one. Why are we saying this? School counselors present themselves as a familiar, approachable resource to students, families, and staff as they lead in schools, because we're leaders, and we bridge communication between parties. Okay, listen to this. So, research has confirmed that the most positive protection for youth, both in and out of schools, is a connected school environment with responsive counseling services. Okay, having responsive counseling services also helps to negate adverse effects of situations that could lead to risks. In the research that says this, secondary students have been researched, and it reports that those who felt their school counselor personally knew and responded to their concerns reported feeling safer and more connected. Let me say that again. So there was a particular research agency, and they're called LaPan. Okay, and this was done in 2014. They reported that students who felt their school counselor personally knew and responded to their concerns reported feeling safer and more connected in school. Now, let me just take a moment so you guys don't have to continue to look at that question mark bouncing around. When you walk into your school doors, maybe your principal isn't the nicest. I don't know. Maybe there's a teacher that you're like, I just don't even like going to her class. I don't even want to see her today. Or maybe your co-counselor. Maybe y'all got off to a rocky start this year. Who knows what the deal is? We as adults know, because we have the skills to put on that happy face, put on that smile, or at least we know how to put all that to the side because we've learned how to do it. So kids don't know yet. Or maybe they do and they just need more skills to do it. So we have a heavy task on us, a heavy charge. But if we can make sure that a large percentage of our kids feel that they're seen, that they're heard, and that you respond to them, just know that they are going to feel safer and more connected in school. And what's the outcome of that? Because when they feel safe and they feel connected, they're going to want to come to school, which means when they're at the school, if they like being there, they're going to do better academically, which results in better grades, which results in, if I'm a high school student, I have better grades to get into that college I want to get into and perhaps get some scholarships. So there is, and if you're in elementary, you're providing that instilling in them, school is fun. You're in middle school, okay? Elementary wasn't so fun, but middle school is going to be the best time of my life because I have this counselor who's making a difference and all these things they're doing. So everything builds on everything. But again, remember, the start of a great school may just have started in high school because maybe they didn't enjoy elementary and middle school. But because you're there in high school, you make the difference in that whole community. The climate is different, the feeling is different. It's you. Okay. So remember, students reported that those who felt their school counselor personally knew and responded to their concerns reported feeling safer and more connected in school. Things to consider when working to make schools safe. Okay. We're going to consider each bullet that I'm going to read here. Okay. What are a few things we need to consider when we are looking at how to make schools safe? As we look at this list, how many of these bulleted items can be directly supported and led by counselors? Or if you're like, I'm already on this team and that team, and they already got me doing the sweeping team and whatever team. Well, how can I get with those teams and make sure that my name is attached to some of these things here to help make my school safer? Okay, so let's look at it. Then I'm going to give you a little bit to reflect, and I want you to pause the screen and I want you to go in and answer some of the questions on the reflection piece. First bullet, physical security of school and district buildings and grounds, cyber IT systems, transportation systems. Physical security of students, families, staff, and visitors. Mental health of students and staff, social and emotional supports. The school climate, bullying, social and cyber. Public health protection, infectious diseases. Threat and risk reduction, child exploitation. Chemical skills, chemical spill, school violence, severe weather. Chemical spill is kind of way out there, but That's one of the things that I found in research. Okay. Now, let's go back. How many of these items can you directly support? Go ahead and pause the screen and think for a few moments. All right, hopefully you enjoyed that short break. Okay, so once we're looking at this list, physical security and safety of the school and district building. So because we've had some instances that happen as far as people breaking into, into schools like Uvalde and different things like that. Um, you want to make sure that if there is a team of people at the school where you can lend your um, ear and your ideas and your thoughts on how to make the school safer, because maybe you have usually relationships with kids that other people don't have. And so some of the kids may have said something to you in regard to the physical security of the school and how safe they feel at the school and why they do or they do not. Um, the mental health of students, we already do that, small group, individual counseling, referrals to outside agencies, referrals to mental health services, and mental health of staff. We have the employee assistance program that we have let our teachers know about, where they can get a certain amount of free counseling for themselves and their families. So we know we've let our teachers and staff know about that. We've already given that information out. A school climate. So all of our programs that we're doing is impacting the school, making it a more fun place to be. Public health protection. We don't necessarily do the infectious diseases part, but we certainly can help kids with things such as working with the nurse to make sure the students are educated on things of that nature. Threat and risk reduction, child exploitation, so stranger danger, school violence, severe weather, that kind of thing. Can we get on a team with the weather people? The safety drills, that's usually for an admin to do. But do we have any personal thoughts? So on how to make schools safer. We don't necessarily have to join the team because we already have enough to do, but we certainly are the heart of the school. So we want to have our input in certain areas that will impact and make schools safer in more than just a few ways. Okay. All right, moving on to, what does a comprehensive counseling program look like? I told you we were going to get there. So here we are. Now, if anybody wants to think back to when you were interviewing for a position in Dallas, and you might have met with one of the coordinators and they ask you about what are the four components of a comprehensive counseling program. That takes you back, maybe gives you a few nightmares, who knows? But hopefully you still know it by heart. So the first one, here's the quadrant. We're going to consider what we do, okay, first, and then we can look at how a school counselor, when effectively utilizing a comprehensive counseling program, can have a strong and impactful role in the Safe Schools initiative. Again, if you're using all of these program components, which we align this with ASCA, so it's not just the ISD is creating this, that's what they want us to do. This is aligned with ASCA, and I'll show you a little bit later how. So we know that if we're doing these different things here in some shape, way, or form, or most of the items in each quadrant, then we're going to have a comprehensive counseling program. And most likely the school is going to feel, a safer place because a lot of things are happening. So one thing that I used to tell myself is, in order to remember this, I use the acronym GRIS, GRIS, GRIS. The first is the guidance curriculum. Okay, that's the G of the GRIS, right? And so we're going to talk about this a little bit later before we get into how we fit into the bullets that we have that are on here. We have the GC, which is the guidance curriculum, the individual academic planning, or the IAP. We have the responsive services, the RS, and we have the system support, or the SS. So ASCA has 4 components in its model as well. And so it is DMDA, define, manage, deliver, and assess. So write that down because there may be a quiz on this a little bit later. Write that down. Okay. Did you get that? GRIS, guidance curriculum, responsive services, individual academic planning, and system support. How does DISD match ASCA with the 4 key components? So define. Remember I told you ASCA is DMDA. So define is our guidance curriculum, right? Because we strive to establish and maintain an effective counseling program, we model our components after the American School Counselors Association. Okay. Um, in the black, you're going to see how our model relates to ASCA's model. When counselors are able to provide these supports, we will be able to better help our students of trauma who have ACEs, and in turn strive to reduce the effect that those ACEs have, like the violent incidents on campuses, the outbursts, and all of that. And we can help our school community. So define equals the guidance curriculum. Manage is the individual academic planning and effective advising. And in a few minutes, you guys, I'm going to go into each of the quadrants and everything and really break them down in from the ASCA model as well. And then deliver, which equals our system support and responsive services, and assess are the cornerstones to a comprehensive counseling program. Okay, now, there are 3 sets of standards that define a school counseling program. Okay, so to the right, you see our guidance curriculum. That's one of our 4 quadrants. So remember, define from ASCA is the same as our guidance curriculum. Our ASCA Mindset Standards outlines that school counselors encourage a healthy mental balance, positive attitude, self-confidence, and the belief that one can succeed, using all abilities to become high achievers and instilling and understanding that college education is necessary for long-term success. This college aspect is found more under Dallas ISD's individual academic planning component. Okay, so let's see. Under student standards, number 1, ASCA mindsets. It's belief in the whole self, positive mindset, self-confidence, confidence, right? So the student success, K through 12 college and career readiness for every student. And we do that. We are definitely a CCMR, college career military readiness school district. Then we have professional standards. Number 2, ASCA ethical standards for school counselors. Now, ethical standards is what it looks. Let me see. I'm going to click here. And I believe we're going to share this presentation with you. So you can look on this website. Oh, for some reason, it's not working right now. But you can look at this website for this same information for the ethical standards, okay? Number 3, ask a school counselor professional standards and competencies. So in a nutshell, if you click on that, it will link you to that as well. We believe in student success and all students can learn. And through these standards, we can develop and maintain an effective program. So now let's look to the right at the guidance curriculum quadrant. School counselors teach all students basic life skills identified as essential for academic and personal success. So we're teaching them school self-confidence, motivation to achieve, decision-making, goal setting, planning, and problem-solving skills. So communication skills, cross-cultural effectiveness, responsible behavior. Don't we do all of these things? So when we're doing the goal setting, we're having our goal setting meetings with the kids, or we're doing those minute meetings with the kids, or we're doing that individual academic planning when they don't pass something. We're having those meetings with them to determine, why didn't you pass? What can you do the next time to pass? We have all of those resources in the drive. And when you get those newsletters, those beautiful newsletters that are created by our own Patrice Gray, you can have links to all these different things. So again, I'm not going to talk to you about something that we don't have a support for. Okay, so now let's look at this a little bit closer. In addition to the standard guidance lessons, counselors organize activities like clubs and bring in mentoring opportunities so students feel empowered. Okay, that all is under here. Those are just an additional point I wanted to hit. Yeah, so on my campus, when I was on the campus, and even now, I've enhanced my guidance curriculum outside of the expected college and career or anti-bullying or cultural awareness or safety lessons. So bringing mentorship opportunities in. I did talk about that already, and then motivation to achieve could be even in elementary, a trip to a college. You all trip to colleges to show kids that there's life beyond my school here. I can go to college one day and I can stay on campus and I can do, this, that, and the other. Okay, we're going to go to the next part of the Ask a National model and show you how it coincides with our four quadrant program of the comprehensive counseling program. So the manage component of the Ask a National model is our part is individual academic planning or slash effective advising. Okay. Counselors create a sense of belonging for students by academic support, removing barriers to success, connecting school to future plans. So, again, as I said before, I'm here with you to help you get connected, make sure you're getting the tutoring that you need. Um, I'm here to look at your grades and see why you're failing. What can you do differently? What is causing you to struggle, right? So I need to get with you to really go through what's causing you to struggle here and see how we can remove these barriers to help you to be successful. And then, hey, I'm helping you look at scholarship information, things of that nature from applying to college. Um, all of these things bring our students, faculty, staff, and parents feeling like they are a part of a safe environment. So if I look in my quadrant under individual academic planning, it says school counselors help students transition, plan, and manage their educational and career plans, academic and through academic counseling, Vanguard Academy and magnet school applications, tag placement, 4-year plans, course selections, AP class placement, senior interviews. So there's so many different things that we do, right? And so this is again a comprehensive program. And when we have a comprehensive program, hey, we are definitely going to make sure our students do well. Okay. In addition, under manage, we have, again, college trips, college fairs, career days, CCMR awareness and exploration, parent meetings to assist in applying for college, transformation and choice schools. So we do a lot of things already, you all. So kudos to you, hats off to you. Give yourself a pat on the back because we're doing a lot of things and to match up with the Ask a National model, right? Okay. Then, of course, we have Deliver, which is again the Ask a National model. And then with our comprehensive counseling services program here in Dallas ISD, it equates to responsive services and system support. So we, of course, have the last two portions of our quadrant in the gray at the top. Okay. Crisis response. We see in the yellow at the bottom, violence risk assessment or VRQ, violence risk questionnaire, and the SRA, student suicide risk assessment. Those things are crisis response. We do that, you all. We handle it all, okay? Individual group counseling for grief, anger management, children of possible groups could be something like children of incarcerated parents, foster children support, okay? We provide district and community resources, youth and family, food banks, housing assistance, holiday events to give food and clothing, student supports, and again, minute meetings are under here, as we can say, minute meetings fall under here as well. Okay. We do a lot of things. When I put down here at the bottom in the yellow, it says Monday mentors. I used to do something like that on the elementary level. I told you guys a little bit about it earlier, having a 5th grade group of kids. We did it on a Monday during breakfast. They would go down and pick up their student that they were assigned to meet with that maybe was having some behavior issues, nothing real severe, but some behavior issues. And I would be there to oversee it. We would all meet in the cafeteria, but it gave the kids such a sense of responsibility that they could actually go get another student. Now, were all these Monday mentors model students? Not necessarily. Some of them were in my behavior groups, but it gave them such a sense of belonging, a sense of safety, a sense of importance when they were able to go down and help another student. Because, some kids love to be able to say, oh, yeah, they're not really doing well. So I'm helping them, knowing good and well that you having some problems too. But I saw an improvement in behavior. So that was my mentorship group that I had, which helped on my campus a lot in curbing behaviors. Um, Parent permission letters for groups, of course, we know we need to have that. Meals and food for families in need, uniform assistance. So again, responsive services. School counselors assist students with immediate personal concerns, crises, or problems that may be challenges to academic success, which we know those are VRQs, SRAs. Short-term individual counseling, small group counseling. So after I've done an SRA on someone, I may, if that student doesn't get referred to the therapist to see for that type of therapy, then I'm going to meet with that person so I can just check up on them, see how they're doing, work with them if necessary. Academic concerns, we talked about that. System support, school counselors coordinate many programs designed to support students and families. Referral to the MTSS, MTSS is almost like a bad word, but we have to do it. There's interventions in there that we can use during our SST meetings, or even outside of that. Parent education workshops. I continuously talk about that because that is the way that you're going to touch those kids outside of school. Staff development, even for the educators, okay, they definitely need it as well. All right, let's take a short. Welcome back from the break. All right, so, okay, we're going to move on a little bit. We've gone through our comprehensive counseling program and how we match up with the Ask a National model. And I hope that you had a good time kind of reflecting on your learning. And now we're going to go back a little bit. I'm going to take you back to your schooling years. Before you became a counselor, before you even knew what you wanted to do with your life, and you're going back to just think about it. How did you know that you were safe? Or when you think back, or when you're thinking about it now, how do you know you were safe? Take a few moments to think about that. What made you feel safe during that time? And my suggestion is that you spend about 3 minutes just reflecting, okay? And who made you feel safe? Where did you mostly feel safe? And when did you feel the most safe? Don't forget, pause the screen and use your sense of belonging and safe school reflection form. And ask yourself those questions, and I'll just self-disclose with you. I really, when I was growing up, I don't think that I felt unsafe at school because there weren't all of the issues that kids have today about school shootings, and I really had great teachers. I didn't have any friends that acted out because we had parents that would not allow that. I mean, we didn't even think about it. Like that wasn't even an option. Like, what do you mean throw a chair? You know, um, what do you mean yell at the teacher? What do you mean call the teacher out their name? What do you mean? So I didn't have that. I didn't grow up with that, thank goodness. But everybody's experiences are not the same. And I'm much older than, some of you that may be watching this video. So maybe you came through where there was a real change in the way that things that happen in school and things that people were um, exposed to. But I don't remember a time not feeling safe at school with the adults. Now, I do remember in fifth grade that, when kids start forming cliques and friends, I was always the one that wanted to be the friend maker. I wanted everybody to get along, and so I wanted everybody to uh, be friends. And so sometimes I would be in between two groups of people, and that would find me outside of a group because then people were like, well, why do you keep talking to them? It's little stuff like that. But for the most part, I really felt safe. But I will say that had I had a counselor back then, maybe I could have gone to that person to talk to them about those friendship issues that were really a big deal for a fifth grader when everybody's now mad at you because they're saying, well, if you hadn't told me what she said, then I wouldn't have known. But I'm thinking I'm helping the situation. Right. So maybe that would have been good to have had a counselor to help with that. But I didn't. So maybe that was a time I could say I did not feel safe. Okay. All right. So now that you have that thought in your mind, I'm going to go on to making students feel safe. So a trauma-informed approach ensures that students feel safe, supported, and nurtured to improve their chance of academic success. I'm going to watch a short video and make sure my sound is shared with you all. Okay. All right.
We understand the effects of adverse childhood experiences nationally. This is not an issue that is just isolated to my demographic at my school.
You're gonna do great, aren't you? Okay, nice work.
We understand what it does to them now and potentially in the future. We're right off of downtown Nashville, and we're in the midst of some serious transformation and gentrification. And so a lot of our students are being displaced. We have students who are currently experiencing some serious tragedy in their lives, and we know their stories, and we take a proactive approach here to make sure their needs are being met.
Doing all right today?
The old approach was you're at school, you need to be at school and play school, and it was compliance driven. But the trauma approach is taking a completely different lens. They have to feel safe, they have to feel nurtured, and they have to feel supported. When kids walk through the door, they don't leave everything that has happened at the door. They're still developing emotionally, they're still developing cognitively, and we want to give them the ability to do that in a safe environment that is school. To be quite frank, this transformation is more about adults than it is kids.
You had a perfect day.
It's about giving the teachers the understanding and support to be able to meet the needs of the kids on a basic level.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9. There was a big mind shift, for me especially. My students might have had a bad day, something happened at home, no one was home last night. You can't just be like, come in and do math now. So when they know they can trust you and they talk to you, their academics start to blossom. Good.
One of the most transformative strategies is getting someone who is trained in understanding students' mental health needs.
I was brought in as a part of the district initiative to increase the awareness and knowledge of ACEs, which are adverse childhood experiences. Class been okay?
Yep.
So coming in and identifying different trauma-informed practices that we can implement here in the school.
One of the foundational programs that we're utilizing is the Leader in Me. A lot of people are very familiar with the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People for kids. And so here we foundationally teach our kids the 7 habits.
You'll see the posters around the school and you'll see the kids, they know all of the 7 habits and they will spout them out to you.
The 7 Habits has helped me because I had to put first things first. I had to make sure that I was getting good grades and not starting drama with any kids.
We also build the students' capacity to develop their leadership skills by giving them a class in leadership. It's part of our specials rotations. Kindergarten through 4th grade are part of the Leader in Me curriculum.
Be proactive, be proactive.
We share this common language. It is so amazing with putting everybody on the same page. Building that positive school culture and an environment where everyone feels empowered to be successful.
We now have students leading other students in different activities throughout the building.
Who wants to go first?
And we value that.
Good morning, leaders. The time is 8 o'clock.
Traditionally, in most schools, you've got the iridescent lighting that burns our eyeballs like laser beams. But here we have teachers use a lot of low lighting. Some of our rooms have calming colors, utilizing color as a strategy. We also use essential oil diffusers with just understanding that your body is sensory. We utilize mindfulness as a strategy and understanding that smells and things around you are helpful. One of the approaches that we're using are peace corners.
A peace corner is like a place where you can just chill out. If I get like really frustrated and feel like I'm gonna yell, or when I feel really sad about to cry, I go to the peace corner.
It's a proactive approach. And so many times we give kids strategies, but we don't give them a time or a place to practice those strategies. We've really put a lot of effort in building positive relationships. Under that, there are strategies, and one of them is our check-in and check-out system.
Hey, Mariah.
Hi.
You ready to have another great day today?
Yep.
My check-in, check-out buddy, her name is Mariah, and she's in 4th grade. She comes to see me at the beginning and the end of every day. What are your goals for today?
Listen, be on task, and nice.
Awesome. She has 3 goals every day that she works on. She can get 0, 1, or 2 points for each of her goals.
And then at the end of the day, they know where they are. How was your day?
Good. Actually, it was fantastic.
Fantastic.
People will see a point sheet, but the most motivating piece of our check-in and check-out system is the mentor-mentee relationship.
You go to him and then he asks about your day, and if you had a problem somewhere, we'll talk about that and see how you can fix it.
The child knows every day they come in this building that somebody's excited to see them in the morning and excited to see them right before they leave.
So, do you think you knocked it out of the park? That's what I'm talking about.
And it's that positive in, positive out mindset.
You did it with me.
That's right. No, but you did it on your own. That's you, my man. Nice work.
That's been a huge success. Last year was a tough year. It was really tough. We didn't have the support systems fully in place that we have now. I didn't support teachers in the way that I should have and could have because I was a new principal, and I just didn't know how. But that all changed at the end of the year when we all just as a team sat down and said, we've got to do something different. Our paradigm has to shift, where we're talking about not only how to support students, but how to support yourself, self-care.
We know you can't help others until you help yourself. Sometimes this job is hard, this job is exhausting. Sometimes you just need a minute. Tap in, tap out is something that we've developed. You can text someone and be like, hey, can you cover my class? Can you give me a second? And we will gladly cover one another. You sometimes just need to ask for help. And it's okay. And it's really accepted here and it's promoted.
This is great. That's great.
Operating a trauma-informed approach is a blanketed approach for all kids.
You all have done outstanding work.
We have to be able to help them manage their experiences in productive ways.
What's your favorite?
It's not compliance-driven, it's a we've got your back approach.
Wow, those are some great statistics. If you all got a chance to read that, I'll go back just a little bit and you can see the screen on these metrics and statistics. If I can stop it there, let's see. Awesome. In 2015, when full social emotional learning implementation began, behavior infractions leading to referrals are down 76% since 2015. In 2016, Fall Hamilton outperformed peer schools on the Achievement Network's English language arts measures. In 2017, 98% of students felt there was an adult at school who cared about them. How awesome is that? So again, we're the heart of the school, and you guys, I don't want to just seem like, oh, here we go with something else, but you're already doing it. You are already doing it. You are impacting your schools every single day with the magic that you're already doing. It's just that we are trying to draw an attention to making sure that students feel safe. Okay. And how can you do that if you haven't thought or brainstormed about some of the ideas that we're sharing with you? So just a review real quick about that video. Um, they're coming from a trauma approach, right? The teacher was saying, I'm coming from a trauma approach, knowing and understanding that when teachers got to be on board with it, right? And so where we take our part as counselors is we come in and we train teachers. I remember when I had a student that was put in my fourth grade class many years ago, and he was special needs, and I had no idea how to work with somebody with his level of special needs. And I felt like they just dropped him in my class, and then I had to just wing it and figure it out. Now I did. I didn't figure it all out, but I would research and I would go find, but as a person that is the heart of the school, as the counselor, we want to make sure our students feel safe. And so how we can do that is definitely, as we've been saying in this presentation, is to empower teachers to have the skills, to know what to do, to be on board with looking at our kids from a trauma approach instead of just, well, you just need to get them out of here because I'm tired. I'm tired. And we all get tired. We all get tired, and we all wish maybe they wouldn't show up a couple of days a week sometimes, but we still have the kids. We still are going to have them. We have to teach and educate them. So let's make sure that teachers feel empowered as well. And the teachers in this video are understanding that I'm gotta look at a way to make my kids feel safe, nurtured, and supported. Because in the video, it said we don't leave everything at the door. So key thing there, we create the environment. That was also stated, okay? And so they also, this particular school said that, trust. When trust was found, academics started to blossom. And so things didn't start out that way. But when we build trust as counselors, the kids want to come to us, right? They begin to blossom. So if we can build an attitude of gaining trust of the students, because we're coming at our kids from a trauma informed approach, understanding that kids come with us at traumas and everything is not going to stop at the door. Then we can touch some kids. And then they also brought in a trauma-informed practitioner. Now that could be on a high school campus, that's the counselors and the mental health services personnel. But on the elementary school campus, that could be getting somebody from youth and family to come in and be on the campus. That could be our reset center, going in there and speaking to those kids in the reset center. But they got a trauma-informed practitioner at that particular school. We are trauma-informed, right? We're practitioners also until it's beyond our scope and we need somebody to do therapy. So we go a little bit deeper. They also implemented the Leader in Me program. Now, we have some Leader in Me schools in Dallas ISD, but so you might say, well, I'm not a Leader in Me school, so how am I supposed to do any of that? Well, we can take some of those things that they talked about and we can implement them. Just because you don't have it does not mean you can't get it. We're resourceful. So 7 Habits of Highly Effective Kids. I've never read it, but I was like, hey, I think I need to get that. After seeing this, I think I need to get that so I can see how I can implement that even in my small group, even in my individual groups. They have a leadership class. Now, I don't know how that would work on a campus, but that's definitely something to talk to the principal about. We have the reset center, but maybe I can go in and do a leadership class in the reset center. Or if we don't have a reset center. So when they first started talking about reset centers in the high schools several years ago and middle schools, I was like, well, we don't have a reset center. And so my co-counselor and I went to Walmart. They had a little small room at the school. We went to Walmart and we let them know, hey, we're the counselors at blah, blah, blah elementary school and down the street and around the corner. And we wanted to see if we could get some lamps and a few chairs for the kids. And they gave them to us for free. We just showed them our ID. The manager came and said, sure, that's fine. So we began to stock our reset center. We found a sand tray table in one of the pre-K classrooms that a teacher didn't want. So we were just asking teachers, can you bring in teddy bears? Now, again, that's elementary, but there's also a way to apply this to middle and high school as well. Call people in your neighborhood, see who will donate things. You have old furniture you don't want that still, looks good enough for me to bring it into the school, into that room over there, so we can have a comfortable place for kids to come and cool down. If you're on a campus that does not have a reset center, again, you're coming from a trauma approach to make the school be a safe place for the students. And then also, I love in the video where they talked about the student-led clubs. How nice is that? A student-led club. So again, that goes back to the mentoring thing that I had. The fifth graders went to the first graders. You could have the 12th graders go to the ninth graders to let them know, hey, these are the things they don't have to disclose everything, but these are some of my experiences coming through high school. And now you're a freshman and here's some pitfalls to avoid. So there's different things you can do by using students to lead some of your clubs, and you're just there as the overseer to make sure everything goes well. Peace corners in the classroom. The little girl went to breathe and get herself together. A peace corner in the classroom. Smells, low lighting. There's lots of things we can do, you all, that a lot of you are already doing, but we can definitely look into these things to create safe schools. So maintaining a safe school. So safe and supportive relationships and environments promote resilience, provide protective factors, and create the conditions in which every person, regardless of age, can grow, learn, and thrive. Okay, so we're going to watch another little video here. Positive supportive relationships at any stage of life can make a difference. So let's watch this video.
My father passed away when I was 8 years old, and that was really hard. And incarceration of a family member. I went through 6 years of abuse, ages 0 through 6. I grew up with a father that did drugs like meth, weed, alcohol, and he went to prison for it when I was 11 years old. And when I was a little kid, I thought drugs were good, and I started doing them when I was in the 3rd grade. I'm a sophomore now. I'm trying to get off of them, and it's hard.
Physical neglect. I typically would search the cupboards and search the fridge and whatever, and scrounge around for anything that I could eat. And typically there wasn't anything, so I didn't get to eat a lot. And then I got neglected pretty much in every other way.
My resilience card is hope. I developed self-esteem by realizing that I'm better than my past, that I've moved on from my past, and that I'm not what my past is, and that I'm never going to let my past get to me again.
Having clear expectations and rules, that's given me structure. It's giving me the knowledge of right and wrong, because there are some things that I had a feeling were right and wrong, but was never really taught that way.
Learning responsibility helps me because one of my responsibilities here is working with horses, and I get to go out and trim horses' feet and ride horses, brush them, and keep my mind on that instead of things like drugs and just things that aren't good and things that benefit me and are good for me. Also, learning responsibility, it helps me take actions for my school, and now I'm gonna catch up and graduate.
Being able to witness success is, I feel like it's a beautiful thing for a person. It just shows that you work hard, that your work ethic got you to where you wanted to be. It kind of shows a lot of potential that you have in that certain thing that you want to be successful at.
I model appropriate behavior for myself
and then for my future family, hopefully model it for myself more right now, because I'm trying to break a cycle for abuse.
I knew how to drop in. Two of these guys didn't know how to drop in on the skate park, so I taught them how. They fell on their butts a little bit and hit their heads like me. But I taught them how to do it. They did it, succeeded it. And yeah, it was fun helping them out, helping me out. Made me feel good for myself. Made me happy to feel like a teacher.
Well, I thought I couldn't count on anyone after that to take care of me, so I thought that I had to do it all myself. And then slowly reaching out and being able to kind of get help from other people, and then to trust other people, you know, to let them in to help you out. And yeah, I realized that I could do that. And then, you know, in turn, I was able to trust them enough to talk to them about the things that happened, and then, you know, I was able to work through a lot of those problems. So that was a big one.
It's a rough life. It's not something you want to do. I got kicked out of school. I went to jail. Now I'm in Jubilee. And it helps. You got some friends here helping me, helping them. So yeah.
You got to fail in order to succeed. So there'll be a lot of obstacles in life that you have to climb over. You fall and you just have to get back up pretty much. And eventually, if you just keep going down that path of being able to stand up for, you know, what you want to be successful at, eventually success will find you. So.
All right. I love seeing those smiles at the end. It makes you really smile and know that we are definitely making a difference in the lives of these kids. Before I get to that slide real fast, let me go back. Okay, so just a few things. So this is where we come in as counselors, when we take partnership role in making the school feel safe. Counselors with comprehensive programs are key to this, right? So we saw them say resilience trumps ACEs, but where are they going to learn that resilience? Where are they going to get those positive and supportive relationships? Well, unfortunately, we're raising kids in school. That's what we're doing some of the time, okay? Because sometimes parents are so busy trying to make ends meet, they don't have time to do what our parents might have had time to do for us, or maybe our parents, and we know about it firsthand because maybe it was the same thing for some of us, right? But resilience trumps ACEs, and we can help these kids be resilient. So we can create safe schools for our students by working with our teachers and our parents, our faculty and staff. The community members can come in. So there were different things that I heard them say that helped them move from ACEs to resilience. I felt like a teacher. I began to trust other people to let them in, and so that I could talk to them. And they started really smiling. The one little baby kind of concerned me because he looked so sad with the glasses, but then towards the end, we saw some smiles coming through there. And can't we say that as counselors, you know, that we do the same thing? So what are some of the things that you heard or that we heard? I heard develop self-esteem, okay? So when we're working with them in these small groups and individual counseling and doing these guidance lessons and doing these school-wide activities, we're showing them how they can develop self-esteem. And then when we as educators, counselors, teachers, we have clear expectations for kids, so there's no room for, okay, because, you know, again, maybe kids just don't know what's right and what's wrong because they've seen so much. So if I'm going to give you clear expectations, there's going to be no gray area, right? We saw them say they learn responsibility. And when they feel responsible, like the one kid was so excited to say, he said he felt like a teacher. And so, yeah, because we gave him an opportunity to have a voice and to lead something. He was teaching someone else. And then we have experience success. So they got a chance to not only go from there are different ACEs to learn coping skills, to learn how to be resilient. They experience success. And then they learned how to model appropriate behavior. Again, if I go home and I see dad and doing this, that, and the other, and I see my mom and my grandma and everybody else around me doing certain things, I don't know a better way. Or maybe I know a better way, but I don't know how to get to the better way. So that's where we come in as counselors. We model appropriate behavior. Um, he said he got, one of them said he got a chance to help a friend, and thank goodness he made a friend, right? And then the last one I left on here, which was great, trust. We have to develop trust with these kids so that they can feel like they can talk to us and that they can have a hope in a future, right? So that they can be resilient. All right. Now we're going to watch another video about overcoming ACEs. But before that, I want you to listen to find out what the key word that they have in here is to overcoming ACEs. We know there is more than one word, but we know the one that will stand out in this video is what we do every day, all day when working with kids. It is what we want our teachers to do and all our staff to do. We want them to build capacity to do this because in order to build, what is the word? Trust. You must work on forming it first. You don't automatically, some people don't automatically just, oh, she looks nice, I'm going to trust her. No, it's some trust is earned. Where kids will say, I respect you when you respect me. That's what the kids say nowadays. They don't just automatically, all of them, not all of them, but a lot of them feel like, I don't have to trust you. Why would I trust you? I don't even trust my own mom. Why would I respect you? I don't even respect my own dad. I don't respect anybody. Okay. So trust is the word you're going to hear. So when we finish the video, I want you to go to the reflection form and I want you to reflect on what it is that we've heard in this form, the key word that stands out in this video. Video didn't do something. Hold on, just a minute. Okay, here we go.
Nancy's office.
Is Nance available?
Let me transfer you on Zoom phone.
A correspondent candid with Oprah Winfrey.
Oprah, your story for 60 Minutes this week is about childhood trauma. And there's a lot of new science here about trauma-informed care. For anyone who's dealing with a traumatized child, what can they learn from your story?
Well, I think that this story is it is my hope that our story on trauma-informed care will not just be impactful, but will also be revolutionary. It certainly has caused a revolution in my own life. And I was struck by the story because it reminded me of my own childhood growing up in Milwaukee. It's not lost on me, the irony of being back in the same city, Milwaukee, where I grew up on welfare, poor, a lot of negative experiences, sexual abuse and all of that. What's the difference between a really bad childhood and being able to overcome that and a traumatic childhood and someone not being able to overcome that?
Really, it boils down to something pretty simple.
And the answer that Dr. Bruce Perry gives you is relationships.
If you also have opportunities to be connected to people in positive ways, that can buffer some of those effects. And as you get older...
I'd like to know more about that.
What he really means is love. He's a scientist. He's not going to use the word love. But it really is about how you are responded to, valued, trusted, and loved by those around you. So I didn't get it from the people who I felt I should have gotten it from. It can be anybody who cares enough about you to ask the question, what happened to you?
Could you trace back in your mind, it was that person who made the
I know
difference?
exactly who did it. I know exactly the moment I started to feel valued, and for me, it was school.
I wanted to be a fourth grade teacher because of Mrs. Duncan. And I haven't seen Mrs. Duncan since then, and Mrs. Duncan is here today. Mrs. Duncan!
The moment I felt the most value was in my fourth grade class when Mrs. Duncan said to me, I was the one who was chosen to lead the class and whatever it was. So what was I like? I don't really remember. I do remember you.
I remember you were such a fluent reader.
Well,
if I had a class full of students like Oprah, I would have been floating on air.
Mrs. Duncan instilled in me this sense of believing that I mattered. And that is what every human being is looking for. When you first heard that I had done something in life, did you know that it was me?
Yes, I kept up with you without your being aware of it.
And it was Mrs. Duncan who helped heal you?
For me, yes. It was Mrs. Duncan, and then it was my sixth grade teacher, Mr. Graham. It was school that made me feel a sense of value and connection.
You learned a lot on this story.
Oh, I learned a lot on this story. This story was life-changing for me.
Life-changing, really?
Life-changing. And people use that word rhetorically. Life-changing. It's changed the way I operate in my business, with my people, with my school. 1, 2, 3. You say that the most important question to ask of people who have gone through trauma is not what's wrong with you, but what happened to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you see, a church being shot up, or you see, all of the headline-making stories of people seemingly gone mad, your first thought is, what happened to that person?
Right.
Right. What has been life-changing for me is the question, what happened to you? Not what is wrong with you, but what happened to you? Which is an important question, not just for people who have been so-called traumatized, but it's the most important question you can ask of anyone. I can say that of all the stories I've ever done in my life and all of the experiences I've ever had and people I've interviewed, this story has had more impact on me than practically anything I've ever done.
It's changed the way you see everyone?
It's changed the way I see everyone. So when I have an employee who is acting out of line or who is just being a jerk, I don't think, what's wrong with that guy? What's wrong with that girl? What's wrong with that person? I think, I wonder what happened to them. I wonder what happened to them. I wonder what happened that caused them to behave that way. That's what this story did for me.
Wow. And that's from the great Oprah. We've heard of her. I think we've heard of her traumatic life. If you know anything about her, she's been through a lot of things. But what did you hear? What did you hear her? Well, she said a lot of different things, but we heard trust. We heard her. We know that kids have to trust us, right? In order to have a sense of felt safety. And we also heard her say, her teacher, Miss Duncan, let her know that she mattered. She felt like she believed that she mattered. We heard her feel like people had care and concern for her. As she said, school made me have a sense of value and connection. And as counselors, isn't that what we first started off this training talking about? That we as counselors want to make the kids connect with the students and make them feel like, hey, I want to come to school because Miss So-and-so sees me, Mr. So-and-so sees me, they see me, they understand me, they have all these things going on at school, they're involving me in this and that, or I feel like I'm seen and I'm connected. And that's what Oprah said. And so we're going to look at what else she said here. She said if she felt a sense of relationship, belonging at school. She wasn't getting it from the people that it should have come from, where she felt like her mom and other people, if you know anything about her story. But in school, she felt that relationship and that belonging. She got a sense that she mattered. And so when we have a sense that we matter to someone, it improves our self-esteem because they see me, right? It was life-changing for her. Those are very impactful and strong words that she was using to describe her thoughts and her feelings about her school. And then she said she changed what she said to in her way to think about other people by, instead of saying, well, what happened? What's wrong with you? She changed it to what happened to you. And I should have put quotations or marks around that, but what happened to you? Why, when you were at Walmart, because the lady's not checking you out fast enough, you're up there yelling and screaming at her? My first mind goes, well, what's wrong with them? But changing that thought process, when we as counselors do this a lot, we know how to look, instead of saying, well, what is wrong with that child? We may think it, but we also know to say there's some trauma there's some behaviors that are based in trauma. They come from trauma. They're a result of trauma. And so that also goes back to our other school that we looked at, where the teachers had buy-in and they were coming from a trauma approach, a trauma-informed approach, to look at their students as okay, this is a trauma response. This is a child who's been through some traumas. And so they learned how to say, well, golly, what happened to that child to make them feel like throwing the chair or hitting their own self in the head is the way to respond to being angry or frustrated or anxious? What happened to that child, rather than what's wrong with you? So we already talked about relationship and belonging, sense that she mattered in reference to Oprah. Self-esteem, life-changing was her experience in school. And then what happened to you rather than what's wrong with you. So what are the three big ideas that we can get from that? Learning happens in relationships and environments. So when I feel good about where I am and I feel like I want to be there, it's going to be easier for me to learn. When I've developed relationship with people and I have a sense of belonging and felt safety, I'm going to be able to learn better. When I know I can just let down my hair, be who I am, people are happy to see me, even though maybe my behaviors haven't been the best, but I still have made a connection with my counselor or my teachers or someone on my campus, I'm going to be able to learn in that place. Relationships and environments impact outcomes, right? So when we have a relationship and our environment is a positive place and our school feels safe, like Oprah was saying, it's going to impact our outcome. Oprah had a very tumultuous upbringing, but look at where she is now. And she credits her teacher for making a difference in her life and just feeling that sense of felt safety for her from Miss Duncan. She gave her a feeling that a sense of belonging, that she mattered. Okay. And then relationships and environments in school matter, right? They matter to kids. So now we're going to look at the power of relationship in schools. Make sure I'm sharing my sound. Okay.
You had so much to offer yesterday. You okay?
I'm tired.
So what's going on?
Strong relationships are central to the learning process. What the science of learning and development tells us is that we need to create learning environments which allow for strong long-term relationships for children to become attached to school and to the adults and other children in it.
When children have experiences of closeness and consistency and trust, oxytocin is released. Oxytocin has many, many positive effects on the development of the brain. So when we think about a relationship, we're not just talking about being nice to a child. We're talking about a child having an experience of attunement and trust strong enough to release the hormone oxytocin.
Good morning, Ariella. How you doing today?
The purpose of the morning greeting is to connect with them and to just make sure that I'm seeing them as humans. Like, I'm making that relationship with them, making that bond.
I prioritize relationship building because getting to know them is the best part of the job.
When I come in the morning, we usually talk about things that are happening in our community.
We're trying to build caring and respect.
Teacher is trying to understand who I am and my values as a person.
When I have a free 45 minutes or an hour, I think to myself, I could sit down and catch up on Grady, or I could go and make connections, whether it's a smile or a joke or a reminder. It validates their presence in the building.
Rock it out in the art room.
It starts from so much honesty and transparency with kids. It's really easy to strive to be this like idealized, always ready to go elementary school teacher, and that's not real and that's not human. When people start talking about other things while I'm still giving directions, it feels frustrating for me and I have to take a breath. My students connect most with me when they see that I also struggle and I also have challenges. It takes a lot of vulnerability on my part.
Total familiarity. When that student knows that you care about them, when they know that you're a human, let's think about that. Their academic performance in your class is going to be better.
If I'm comfortable around them, then I'm more confident around them, and it's easier to ask questions and things like that.
So when you're looking at this graph, what is it that you think happened?
Some teachers I don't always get along with the best, so then sometimes I'm like, I can't do it, so I'm just not gonna do it. But when I like the teacher, I want to do their work. I'll be like, I can learn this.
You all have done outstanding work.
Emotion and learning are completely connected. If you're in a positive emotional space, if you feel good about yourself, your teacher, that actually opens up the opportunity for more learning.
Good to see.
All right. Short and sweet. So as I did review with you, let's see, I'm not ready to go on yet. Hold on. I reviewed with you before we started the 3 big ideas. And so in the video, the power of relationships in schools, you heard that. We also heard some familiar things that even Oprah said in her video and that we've heard in previous videos. So creating a learning environment causes children to be attached. Creating a learning environment where children want to be there causes them to be attached, and they develop closeness, consistency, and trust. We keep hearing that word trust over and over again. And let's just think about it. Let's just talk about it. If we don't trust someone, we're not likely to feel comfortable around them, which means we're not going to really want to be there, which means we're always on the defense. We're looking for something that is negative, we're in a negative space. So I heard them say closeness, consistency, and trust develops the release of the hormone oxytocin. And the lady said, it's not just about being nice, right? It is about making that sense of connection and closeness with kids. Now, are we asking you to walk down the hall holding hands and singing Kumbaya? No, but we're asking you to, as counselors, we know we develop relationships with our kids so that we can get more out of them. That video would be an excellent video to maybe open up a staff meeting or a small group of teachers that you've been working with on how to change their classroom climate and environment. That would be an excellent group to let them know that, yes, we're about business. These kids need to learn. They have tests to pass. We got it. But if you're not developing a relationship with them, or at least the kids don't feel like they can trust you, or there isn't a level of closeness there, or there's not a lot of consistency there, that's not going to lead to what you're looking for. Again, it's more than just being nice. Now, that one teacher was talking about hugging. Now, we're real particular on hugging. You can give side hugs, you can give fist bumps. We have many different ways we can greet kids, but it's making a connection. The morning greeting at the door, the way you greet them when they come in first thing, it can change the trajectory of the day. If you come in and you're already fussing about them taking too long to get their stuff out of their backpack, or why don't you have a pencil ready? All of those things can change, make or break how your day goes with the student. Some kids we know will latch onto a feeling and be mad at you for the rest of the day for something you said. It took you only 3 minutes to say it. 2 minutes to say it, 30 seconds to say it, but they have a bad attitude the rest of the day because that closeness and connection was broken at that moment. Making relationships and bonding. And one of the teachers said, I try to prioritize relationships. And just think about it, you all, if some of us are in relationship, whether it be just our best friend or intimate partner relationships, if you feel heard and seen and connected and close, that makes all the difference. When we don't feel connected and close and we don't have that kind of relationship, do we want to stay in the relationship? No. unless we like being abused. And hopefully we don't enjoy being abused. So it works the same for our relationship with the kids and creating a safe school and a safe place. And people were watching us as counselors anyway. They watch how we handle things. They watch how, okay, let's see how she does when this child comes in here that's been throwing chairs. I'm gonna see if she comes and matches energy, or does she take that energy down? Okay. Teacher, the one student said the teacher is trying to understand my values and who I am. And I thought that was good. She saw the teacher as at least trying to understand what her values were and who she was, and that mattered to her. And then I heard another statement say, "It close relationships validates my presence in the building." Right. And then one of the teachers said, well, sometimes I have to show them that I have struggles and I have vulnerabilities. I mean, we don't have to go and, again, I've said it before, we don't have to disclose everything to kids, but sometimes just telling them, hey, I got struggles too. My life is not perfect. Even though you see me in here try to maintain a smile every day, it's not. So all of these things play into having a safe space for kids and a safe school. And it also teaches teachers how to do the same. Um, uh, Outside of the expected college and career anti-bullying, cultural awareness, safety lessons, and all of that, there were things that I look at on here. You'll see in these four bubbles: your personal self-care, the school climate and environment, responsive interpersonal relationship, youth and family and community partnerships. I have to make sure that there's a balance of these things. I got to take care of myself before I can take care of you, right? So we're making sure that and that's at the top of this diagram. Personal self-care. I have to make sure I take care of myself before I can go into all these connecting with youth and family before I'm doing this. Some of us are running on empty right now. Gotta stop to take care of yourself. And then when you are, and some of you can do it on autopilot, but you gotta stop, take care of yourself, because burnout will happen. And then you can really be there and present for responsive interpersonal relationships. You can be there for school climate enhancing and environments and youth and family and community partnerships and reaching out and giving families what they need. Okay. All right, so this slide says reimagining school safety with guidance curriculum and system support. So we know that this is part of our GRIS, as I was telling you, the components of the comprehensive counseling program. So the traditional way that we're looking at our school and the way to do things is on the left-hand side of the screen. Traditional says defined as the absence of harm and violence. Okay, yeah, everything's going well. There's no harm. There's no, no violent things are happening. We know that there's going to be always something like that. But our goal for the Safe Schools Initiative is that we're doing things to combat that or change that, right? Make a pivot away from that. We're very punitive, right? Traditionally, you do this, you're going to go ISS. You do this, you're going to go here. We're very punitive. We are individual in nature. We're not trying to develop relationships. I am the authority, you are the student. I am the counselor, you are the student. We come from a heart place, but a lot of the time when you look at teachers and administrators, and then counselors too, and other people, we're very like, this is what I say, I'm the head, you're supposed to do it, and I don't care how you feel about it. Okay. And then again, that kind of leads into the top down approach. Okay, from this is what I'm putting in place, and then everything is supposed to fall in place. And let's go to the reimagined way of looking at school safety with guidance curriculum and assistance support, comprehensive guidance curriculum. Where it's defined as the presence of belonging and care. We could repeatedly watch videos about presence, feeling like I have a felt safety here, a sense of safety. I belong here. They care for me. They're making connection with me. Okay. It's more restorative. So now we have the reset centers instead of go to ISS and sit there and don't talk or whatever, that punitive way. We're more restorative. We're going to see the counselor. We're going to see, instead of saying, what is wrong with you? We're going to say, well, why did you do that? What happened? We do that all the time as counselors, but we're teaching our teachers, faculty, staff, all of that to do the same thing. And we're into building relationships, connection. Okay. And when they say co-designed at the margins, that means instead of just everything just black and white, we got some gray areas in there. Hey, let's take a look at the whole child. Let's look at what's happening at home. Let's not just say it's you did it, that's it, this buck stops here, this is your consequence. But let's see what the whole situation looks like. Okay. Now, we have a sense of belonging and safe school reflection form that you've been referring to for the times when you are reflecting and putting in what you've been learning and answering those questions. So please use that form to look at this article of fostering identity safety in school. Okay, there's a whole article here. Please take time to read through that article and get information from there. Again, hopefully you're in this training with an accountability partner who can work with you on what it is you've read and reflect on your learning. To go over just a little bit of this information, I'm going to go down to 6 things you can do to foster an identity safe environment. Okay, the process to address school climate involves a concerted effort. Everybody's got to be a part. Okay, so the first bullet says create an infrastructure with a leadership team to guide climate improvement efforts. Y'all, that as counselors, we can have so much fun with certain things like this. We can give out popcorn, we can reach out to outside Walmart, Target, different places and see if they can give us gift cards so we can make announcements in the morning and say which teacher has a birthday in December and they love popcorn or whatever, and have the first teacher to email me with the answer, and it will be timestamped so I know who's going to be first, will win a prize. You can create different activities on your campus to make it fun. Which student walked in this morning with a new hairstyle? They're in 5th grade. They're having a blue shirt and pink tennis shoes. I don't know, but create an infrastructure with a leadership team to guide climate improvement. And believe me, your principal is going to want you to do things that will enhance the climate and culture of the school. And we have many different ways to do that. Reach out to your counterparts and ask them, what do you do on your campus to enhance the building and to bring up the climate and culture, not only for the teachers and the parents, but when they come into the school, but the students as well. You can train staff, students, and parents on identity safety, bullying prevention, and how to address intolerance. Collect data on school climate. This includes incidents of bullying and other discipline, as well as students and staff attitudes and feelings. All right, let's go ahead and look at this article together, Fostering Identity Safety in School. I know I said you can do it with your accountability partner, but I want to make sure that you're actually getting this information. So an environment where students are not bullied based on their race or other aspects of identity can be intentionally cultivated both inside and outside the classroom. It's not a long article, so we're going to just look at some key points. School is a young person's world for many of the hours of their youth, and identity-based bullying based on race, sex, ethnicity, gender identity, religion, mental or physical disability, or other characteristics can make that world a deeply negative experience. So we can't go through this presentation without discussing some of these things, because we need all students to feel a felt sense of safety in school, and all students to make connections and have experiences like that are caring ones, and make it a place where they want to be every day. So everyone in school needs to feel that they matter, not in spite of, but because of who they are. Okay, so, well, I'll look over that, it's okay, I'll look over that. We understand we have all of us have our own personal beliefs and feelings, but we want to still make sure that all kids feel like they are special, they're appreciated, they're cared about, and we're concerned about them. And that is the feeling of identity safety. An identity safety school is a place where everyone feels physically and emotionally safe. Students have a sense that they belong and that people have their back. This kind of environment can be intentionally cultivated in all learning experiences, both inside and outside the classroom. It encompasses how adults treat students, how students treat one another, and how adults treat other adults. But many students experience the opposite of those. Those who are perceived as different can be subject to cruel teasing, name calling, bullying, and cyber harassment, all the way up to intimidation, threats, and physical violence. Educators are not always aware of bullying until a serious incident occurs because it's done under the guise of kidding around or occurs in the shadows. Educators across the world are waking up to the extent of the damage and often long lasting suffering that goes way beyond the specific incidents. And we are recognizing our responsibility to address all forms of bullying and intolerance. And of course, we have Let's Talk and different ways, that kids can report bullying and things like that. If bullying is handled only at the disciplinary level, underlining biases and attitudes about the kids who are perceived as different still persist. Getting to a deeper level that truly leads to change goes beyond a bullying assembly, beyond specific lessons, or disciplinary practices in response to bullying. It requires looking at the whole school environment. And isn't that what we do as counselors, right? Here are 4 important elements in handling bullying or avoiding it to begin with. 1, foster identity safely in an environment of respect, empathy, and kindness by modeling it all day long through classroom and school-wide learning activities. Isn't that what we do as counselors? 2, engage in dialogue about race, gender, religion, sexual orientation, and other identity characteristics to bridge differences. Now, can we do all of that in the classroom with elementary students, middle school students, and high school students? We want to make sure that whatever we're doing and offering is something that counseling services has approved and to the appropriate grade level and age range. And if you are in doubt or unsure, please refer to your coordinator before you do too much or do too little, okay? Much bullying is, now that's just my put in there, my qualifier. Much bullying is based on biases, and those biases need to be addressed by refuting stereotypes and by having students learn about each other and develop empathy to bridge differences. Take swift action to address bullying and all forms of intolerance by offering support and guidance to all involved. Help targets gain confidence to speak up for themselves, help those who bully change their behavior, and help bystanders become upstanders who speak up when they see harm being done. Listen to students' voices and give them tools and opportunities to be leaders and activists in finding solutions. A team approach can be used to develop an identity-safe climate where every student and staff member feels welcomed and valued, where nobody has to leave their identity at the door. Now, I also want to add this disclaimer or this point in here is that we have a LGBTQ person in counseling services who you can reach out to. Her name is Mahogany Gaston. And if you are unsure about any of that subject matter or how to address certain things, please don't do anything that you're unsure of. Or if you get that little feeling that, this might not be exactly, or I'm unsure, reach out to counseling services. But you do have a particular, because this article is not just about that, but just while I'm here and we're talking about gender identity, things like that, sexual orientation, whatever, please reach out to her. Okay, 6 things you can do to foster an identity-safe environment. The process to address school climate involves a concerted effort. 1, create an infrastructure with a leadership team to guide climate improvement efforts. 2, train staff, students, and parents on identity-safe bullying prevention and how to address intolerance. 3, collect data on school climate. This includes incidents of bullying and other discipline, as well as student and staff attitudes and feelings. Repeat the assessment yearly to track progress and determine where to focus improvement efforts, okay? I would suggest getting with your leadership team, your principal, to see how they might want to do this, okay? Analyze and update policies, procedures, and practices to ensure that they are equitable and student-friendly. Create an identity-safe school plan or incorporate identity-safe and positive climate efforts in your existing plan. Last one, focus on both student wellness and staff wellness. Unquestionably, transforming school climate and sustaining that change are not easy, but both are well worth the time and effort. The students will feel better and achieve at higher levels, and the staff will have higher morale. That does not mean that bullying will never happen again, But when it does, a school that is poised to respond and take swift action will lead the healing process and will continue to move forward with in a positive direction. And our students in Dallas ISD and across the globe deserve nothing less. And I think we're all in agreement with that. All right. Essential actions for physical and emotional safety of schools. Okay. Physical safety. Number one, comprehensive school safety assessment. Okay. Emotional security. Number two will be your school climate. Let me go under of what's physical safety first. So comprehensive school safety assessment, the campus building and classroom security, coordination with first responders, school-based law enforcement, and drills. Now, we know a lot of the APs handle the physical safety of the building, right? But us as counselors, because we get everywhere, all over the campus, going to see kids and all of that, we know the building well. And we see when people are coming in when they're not supposed to, people are letting people in when they're not supposed to, because there's the other side of safety too, is just literally the safety of the building, how access into the building from outside. So since we're everywhere, we can offer our own opinions and ideas on how we can improve that part of the safety situation at our schools. And then on the other side, we have emotional security, the school climate, anonymous reporting systems like the bullying system, the Let's Talk system, behavior threat assessment and management, mental health resources, social media monitoring, okay? All of these things are a way to help secure students emotionally, because we already know we teach them on cyberbullying and all of that. So, and then bullying in general. So social media monitoring, if you know that there's a lot of bullying instances that are coming in through people doing it through cyberbullying, you may want to make sure that there's a way that you have discussed with your principal about how to curtail cyberbullying on your campus. Who's going to be monitoring social media? How do we even do that as a campus? And then, of course, we have mental health resources as well. All right, everybody, we are nearing the end of our time together. And so I thank you for sitting through this training. So I'm going to go over a few more things. So just hang in there with me. We are almost to the end. So this is tools to get started on your school safety planning. You all, this is an awesome website. I'm going to click on here really fast so you can see what we have. So we have, we already have a lot of school safety measures that are in place through our own district, but you may be able to find a grant that is specific to your school and your school's needs. So what I encourage you to do as a counselor, as the heart of the school, as the one who's looking to make connections with students and bringing people together and excuse me, empowering teachers, I would encourage you to perhaps get with your administrators and find out if they are interested in searching for a particular grant. And you can click find a grant and you can put in your school's needs in there, what kind of grants in having to do with school safety you're looking for. And there could be a grant. I've seen one up to $1 million. And some of them are competitive, some of them are easier to get, but basically you could use these tools as a way to make your school building safer and other resources like that. So then there's an action plan that addresses the foundational elements of school safety. Whatever your action plan is, it will have you do an assessment to see what exactly are the safety needs of your school. Safety resources. Now this one was really pretty cool because if you look on here, there are guidance lessons, training. I see lots of parent workshops coming out of here. Different things that you can use with your faculty, staff, and your parents on here. Training exercises and drills, emergency planning, cybersecurity, human trafficking, cyberbullying, physical bullying. And when you click on those links, it will pull up lessons and different information on there that you can use. And then we have the state search tool on here. Discover your state school safety programs and regional contacts from federal agencies. Again, sitting with your administrator to see, hey, we need this and that, and it would be lovely if we could have some grant to fund a certain thing that I've been wanting for a while in regard to school safety. This is you as the counselor having this resource and being able to go to your administrator with this information. And then events and opportunities with the focus of school safety are on here also. And then, of course, schoolsafety.gov materials. So the next thing I want you to look at for guidance lessons, this is not in our school. So not in our school is a program that creates safe, accepting, and inclusive school communities. It provides training, films, lesson plans, and resources that inspire students to take the lead in standing up to bullying and intolerance in their schools. So this one is centered mostly around bullying, but hey, when we have a bully-free school, that's a safe school. Kids are going to feel connected, want to be there, and they're going to have a felt sense of safety and security, and they will feel like they belong. So just a last little review here. Let's not forget about our own thoughts about what we have talked about today, about the ACEs. When the kids, they don't just drop their ACEs at the door, right? We want them to come in and feel like we're connecting with them, and we want our teachers to know how to connect with students and to look at them not as what is wrong with you, but what's happened to you. We want to change that heart and that mindset to look at these kids with ACEs. Again, I'm wrapping up, so just hang in there with me for these last few slides. So taking a look at the slide from the ACEs video that we started earlier today, we must remember that experiences of our past and present, all of those things affect our biology. We have all experienced some sort of trauma in some way or form, and in many cases, they have affected us or had some type of impact on our lives. Our nutrition, exercise, smoking, stressors, and relationships that we're in can affect us, right? They affect us all. We must remember that if we don't take care of ourselves, how can we take care of anyone else? We can go on fumes, we can go on autopilot for a while, but then sometimes our bodies will tell us, okay, I'm done. And then sickness comes and you're on your back thinking about all the things you could be doing, but you got to take time for yourself and you got to address, I haven't said this in this training, but some of our ACEs, we can get away without addressing them for years and years and years. But there comes a time where we may have to confront them by getting therapy, taking advantage of the EAP, the Employee Assistance Program, and getting our own counseling, our own therapy to help combat the different ACEs that may be trying to resurface in our lives. And that way we can help our own kids. So take care of yourself because we have to address our own needs. Just as we learned about all the ACEs affecting our students and how to create a safe environment for them, we must, you all, it's imperative that we make sure that we take care of our own self. And with that being said, how are you taking care of yourself? You got to celebrate yourself. You have to love yourself. You have to be nice to yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You have to, as a little emoji down there says, save a cookie for yourself. What do you do for fun? When you're feeling overwhelmed, what do you do? Who do you turn to for support and safety? Because we're at the school, trying sometimes to be heroes and flying around with our invisible cape to be there for everyone else. But what do you do for yourself? Okay. We've talked about making schools more safe for kids and how you can make schools safe for the school community. In our work as counselors, how are we taking care of ourselves, right? We got to take care of our mental also. These 3 questions I want you to just consider, okay? What are you doing for fun? How are you taking care of your own self? A few minutes to reflect on that. Right? Next steps. We owe it to our students, to ourselves, and to our families, as well as other families who have been affected by school violence and other acts of trauma, to continue the discussion and to take action. It's our responsibility to make sure that school is a safe environment for all students. Though it is challenging, we need to insist that the conversation does not stop and that words become actions. So we can go and sit down with our administrator and we can discuss what the needs are and we can make plans. But if we don't follow through, then is anything really happening? Is anything changing? No, because we're not following through. If we sit down with them and we go over that grant, get a grant for the safety of the building, or we start working on that and then we stop, or we have all these things that we planned, chunk it, take it in little chunks, do certain things at certain times so that you don't become overwhelmed, but you're already doing a lot of these things, right? But we want to make sure that our words become actions. What we're talking about today is actually something we're putting in place if we haven't already done so. Now, no one is asking you to go write a grant or become the government, guru on all things safety. But there are some things that you are already doing as a counselor to give that student the enhanced or the feeling of safety, care and concern, connection. You're already doing all of those things. This is just a way to go deeper. So safety at school must become part of character education programs and must be addressed head on. We have to think about it more frequently than whenever there is another tragedy in the news or that once a year presentation about Code Red. And what that means is anything that happens on the campus, we have a big staff meeting and we come together and we discuss, okay, what are we going to do? So instead of being reactive, we need to be proactive. Okay. Students must be engaged in ongoing discussions about how to be safe, how to get help when they need it, and how to reach out to others that need help. And then you will find out at the bottom an article about building resilience and preventing burnout. So to make sure that you all read that one as well. Now, of course, I did ask you already, what are you doing for yourself? So I have already included in this slide fun things to do to take care of you in DFW. That rhymes. So there's some sites here that are linked. Visit dallas.com/events, big list of teacher discounts and campus. This says based mental health services, but that's for Dallas ISD mental health services. Again, we have EAP, Employee Assistance Program, if you need some help for yourself or someone to talk to and counseling for yourself. So please make sure to take care of yourself, get out and have some fun, and really take advantage of life because it goes by quickly. And before you know it, we need to make sure we're living our life. All right. So last slide of the day, everybody, before we leave. So hopefully, like I said, you had a warm blanket, you had some little cafecito, you had your hot chocolate, you had her hot tea, and you're just enjoying taking this training and being warm and cozy while you're doing this training, wherever you may be, at the school doing this training, or if you were allowed to go home. We hope that you enjoy. So before you leave, go ahead and finish the form so that you can make sure that you've answered all the questions on the form. Make sure that you sign in also, because we want to make sure that you get credit for having been a part of this presentation. So you want to make sure you use the sense of belonging and safe schools reflection form. And really, that's it. So this is Stacey Owens signing off. I hope you have enjoyed the Sense of Belonging and Safe Schools Initiative presentation brought to you by Dallas ISD Counseling Services.